Chapter 38:20. Alright, I can promise you that, but I'm very curious about something. If you really have a fragment of the Life Spirit Origin Stone, why can't I sense it? Lu Ming asked curiously. Those who possessed fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone could sense each other when they were close to each other. When he first met Murong Qiu, he had easily sensed it. However, even after talking so much with Ling Yue, he still couldn't sense any fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone on her body. My physique is special. I can completely seal and isolate the aura of the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments. Those who also possess fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone will not be able to sense it for a short period of time. Ling Yue explained. Lu Ming's pupils constricted slightly. Ling Yue was actually able to seal the aura of the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments, preventing others from sensing them. This shocked Lu Ming, because according to the Life Spirit Origin Stone spirit, there was no way to do this. Any sealing method could block the prying eyes of others, but as the owner of the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments, it was very easy to sense them. As for Ling Yue, she was able to seal it so that he couldn't sense it. If this Lu Ming really agreed to marry Ling Yue, he was afraid that Ling Yue would unknowingly take away the fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone. Lu Ming even guessed that Ling Yue wanted to fake a marriage with him from the beginning. Avoiding the angel race's geniuses was one of her goals, so she might not have planned to fake a marriage and secretly seize the fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone. It was probably because she saw Lu Ming's astonishing talent and battle prowess, and that Lu Ming had never agreed to her request that she revealed the truth. Moreover, there was another benefit. Ling Yue could sense others and others could not sense her. She could swagger close to the owners of the other Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments, and others would not be on guard against her. Then she would suddenly attack and seize the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments. It was simply impossible to guard against. Then what should we do as the first step in our cooperation? Lu Ming continued to ask. The first step is, of course, to work together to seize more Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments. Only by gathering more Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments can we obtain more clues. Ling Yue said. Then do you know, other than you and me, who else has the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments? Lu Ming asked. I know one. Ling Yue's gaze turned as she said, this person is a peerless monster from the Blood Demon race, Xue Ming. Blood Demon race. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The Blood Demon race was also an extremely powerful race. It was ranked 55th on the Great Desolate 10,000 Races ranking. It was said that the Blood Demon race had a close relationship with the Blood race, one of the top 10 races. What about you? Do you have any news about the other owners of the Life Spirit Vitality Stone? Ling Yue asked Lu Ming. I have one too. Lu Ming said. He was naturally talking about Murong Qiu. You really know? Ling Yue was very surprised. Just now, she had only casually asked and did not have any hope. This was because under normal circumstances, when the owners of the Natal Spirit Stone fragments met, they would definitely fight fiercely until one side died. There were very few who wanted to live in peace. This person is called Murong Qiu. Do you know him? Lu Ming said. Murong Qiu? I've never heard of him. Which race is he from? Ling Yue said with a frown. This person has used the primordial divine body and has many arms. Immediately, Lu Ming described Murong Qiu's appearance. Could it be the Murong family of the multi-handed race? It's very possible. Ling Yue said, her big eyes releasing a dazzling light. I met him in a special world back then. I don't know if he has returned to the Murong family yet. Lu Ming was a little uncertain. Back in the primordial divine spirit world, Murong Qiu had followed the experts of that world into a deeper world. He didn't know if Murong Qiu had come out yet. Thinking of this, Lu Ming thought of the Myriad God. The Myriad God had also entered that deeper world to cultivate, so he didn't know how he was doing now. With the Myriad God's talent, his current cultivation should be extremely terrifying. Lu Ming was looking forward to meeting the Myriad God. We can go take a look first. The Blood Demon race's Xue Ming is not easy to deal with. Let's go find Murong Qiu first and then Xue Ming. How about it? Ling Yue said. All right, I have no objections. Lu Ming nodded. Murong Qiushui wanted to kill him, so it wouldn't be bad if he could take this opportunity to get rid of Murong Qiushui. The two of them discussed for a bit before setting off. After setting off, Lu Ming used the Dream Divine Jade to send a message to Sect Master Wang. He told him that he had something to do and would leave the plentiful City Sword sect for a while. If the Heavenly Palace started recruiting heavenly soldiers, he should send him a message. Ling Yue was the elven princess, so she knew much more than Lu Ming. On the way, Ling Yue led the way, bringing Lu Ming to the multi-handed race's Murong family. On the way, Lu Ming learned more about the Life Spirit Heavenly Court from Ling Yue, as well as some other secrets. At the same time, the two of them discussed their next plan. The plan to deal with Murong Qiushui was very simple. It was a honey trap. Yes, a honey trap. As long as they came to the Murong family's territory, Ling Yue would take the initiative to appear. With Ling Yue's fame, once she appeared, it would definitely cause a stir. Countless young geniuses would want to pay their respects. If Murong Qiushui had already returned to the Murong family and heard that Ling Yue had appeared, he would definitely pay her a visit. When the time came, Lu Ming would appear. As long as Lu Ming appeared, Murong Qiushui would definitely sense the Life Spirit Source stone fragment on Lu Ming's body. Then, Lu Ming would lure Murong Qiushui away and deal with him. The multi-handed race was also a large race. It was one of the races on the Great Desolate 10,000 Races list, ranked around 5,000. The multi-handed race was mainly composed of several large families, and the Murong family was one of them. Although the multi-handed race was much weaker than the elven race, Ling Yue couldn't openly send experts to steal Murong Qiushui's Life Spirit Source stone fragment. There were rules in the Great Desolate Universe. A strong race, without any reason, domineeringly dealt with a weak race. It would definitely be protested by the other races and even punished by the Heavenly Palace. Of course, if a weak race provoked a strong race, they would be courting death. However, it was impossible for a strong race to send people to kill their way over when they took a fancy to the treasures of a weak race. Therefore, even if Ling Yue's background wasn't simple, she still had to rely on herself to obtain the Life Spirit Source stone fragment. Also, how precious was the Life Spirit Source stone fragment? Who would dare to expose it so easily? Who would dare to borrow the hands of others? After a period of time, Lu Ming and the others arrived at the area controlled by the Murong family. After arriving here, Ling Yue deliberately appeared to buy divine medicine. As expected, it immediately caused a stir. The news of Ling Yue's appearance quickly spread throughout the entire multi-handed race. Countless geniuses of the multi-handed race went to visit Ling Yue, wanting to interact with her. What if he could win the heart of a beauty? Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor, Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 3821. On the Divine Arm Planet, the Divine Arm Mountain Villa was elegant and unique. Legend had it that it was the place where a senior of the multi-hand race cultivated. After that senior died, the Divine Arm Mountain Villa became a scenic spot. Many prodigies of the younger generation of the multi-hand race would come here to admire the glory left behind by the senior. Huge gatherings would also be held here. This time, many top prodigies of the multi-hand race came forward and invited the fairy princess Ling Yue to gather at the Divine Arm Mountain Villa. Ling Yue gladly agreed, and the prodigies of the multi-hand race were ecstatic. Rumor had it that Ling Yue was incomparably cold and arrogant. Normally, she wouldn't accept the invitation of others. However, this time, she had accepted the invitation of the prodigies of the multi-hand race. Naturally, they were ecstatic. In an instant, a large number of prodigies of the multi-hand race rushed towards the Divine Arm Planet. It was said that many prodigies of the multi-hand race were in seclusion and had temporarily ended their seclusion to rush to the Divine Arm Planet, wanting to take the opportunity to befriend Ling Yue. Not only that, but some prodigies of other races who were traveling in the territory of the multi-hand race also rushed to the Divine Arm Planet after hearing the news. Therefore, on this day, a large number of prodigies gathered at the Divine Arm Mountain Villa. Not only were there from the multi-hand race, but there were also people from other races. Lu Ming naturally sneaked into the Divine Arm Mountain Villa as a prodigy of another race. By the way, have you seen the fairy princess Ling Yue? Beside Lu Ming, some youths began to discuss. I've seen a portrait in the Dream Divine Jade. She's truly a peerless goddess. It's said that she's even prettier and more elegant than in the Dream Divine Jade. The key is that her talent is high. Indeed, there are so many peerless prodigies in the primitive universe. It's easy to imagine how many of them can enter the Pearl list. Normally, with our status, we wouldn't be able to see them at all. I didn't expect to see them today. How great would it be if I could marry the fairy princess? Stop dreaming. You think you can do it? Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror? If it were me, it would be more like it. What did you say? You rotten sweet potato, you're the one who's dreaming. The scene was in an uproar. Many people gathered together to discuss. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. I heard that the elven princess wanted to marry someone called Mu Yun, but she was rejected by Mu Yun. Have you heard? I heard about it. That Mu Yun is just a disciple of a small force. He's so arrogant. If I see him, I'll teach him a lesson. Suddenly, someone changed the topic to Lu Ming. Immediately, flames of anger appeared in their eyes. It was as if Lu Ming had killed their fathers. Lu Ming smiled wryly. He began to wonder if it was a mistake to cooperate with the elven princess. Lu Ming muttered a few words before looking around. What made Lu Ming disappointed was that he could not find any trace of Murong Qiushui. The elven princess has arrived. Suddenly, someone exclaimed in a trembling voice. In the sky, a figure walked over. It was Ling Yue. So beautiful. Many people revealed infatuated looks as their eyes widened. Immediately, a few of the most famous geniuses of the multi-armed race soared into the sky to welcome Ling Yue. They welcomed Ling Yue into a pavilion. The pavilion was already filled with fine wine and delicacies. Princess Yue, I heard that you want to marry that Mu Yun? Immediately, someone asked. That's right, Mu Yun and I have an engagement. Ling Yue whispered. So what if there's an engagement? That Mu Yun is arrogant and conceited. In my opinion, it's fine if we don't fulfill this engagement. With a person like Princess Yue, how can that Mu Yun be worthy? A youth with 4 arms said with a proud face. The meaning behind his words was that he was worthy of Ling Yue. However, Ling Yue pretended not to hear his hint. That's right. If there's a chance, I will definitely suppress that Mu Yun and vent my anger for Princess Yue. Another genius spoke up. Then, there was a burst of excitement. Ling Yue replied absent-mindedly as she looked at Lu Ming. She was asking about Murong Qiushui. However, the attention of the geniuses at the side was 100% focused on Ling Yue. They saw Ling Yue's every move. Ling Yue had peeked at Lu Ming time and time again, so they naturally discovered it. Could it be that Princess Yue has taken a fancy to this pretty boy? Impossible, absolutely impossible. These people began to fill in the blanks. When Lu Ming saw Ling Yue looking at him, he naturally had to respond and slightly shook his head. Nest, what does this mean? When the others saw this, they couldn't help but let their imaginations run wild. The speed at which their brains filled in the blanks suddenly increased. Could it be that Ling Yue and Lu Ming were exchanging glances with each other? Ling Yue had taken a fancy to Lu Ming and hinted to Lu Ming, but Lu Ming shook his head and refused? His heart ached. Many geniuses felt their hearts ache. They said all sorts of nice things and revealed their best side, but Ling Yue didn't even look at them. As for Lu Ming, he sat there without saying a word, but he kept receiving Ling Yue's attention. Why was that? Was it because he was good-looking? Could good looks be eaten? Unhappy, these geniuses were jealous and unhappy. When they saw Ling Yue look at Lu Ming again, many of them exploded. It's a rare gathering today. With Princess Yue here, why don't we spar a little to help with the wine? A young man stood up and said. That's right, sure. All right. Many people responded. Then, a young man with 4 arms looked directly at Lu Ming. Brother, I see that you have an extraordinary appearance. Why don't we spar? The 4-armed youth said. The first one to challenge me? Lu Ming was stunned. However, the aura of the four-armed youth was clearly locked onto him. There was no mistake. He was just sitting here. Why was this person staring at him? Could it be because of Ling Yue? How smart was Lu Ming? He immediately thought of the flirting with Ling Yue just now. These people were probably jealous. Of course, Lu Ming wasn't someone who was afraid of trouble. Since this brother wants to spar, then let's spar. Lu Ming stood up and took a step forward. The two of them soared into the air and stood high in the sky. Then, their auras erupted. The four-armed youth's cultivation was at the 7th level of the Divine Lord realm, the same as Lu Ming. Lu Ming had never hidden his aura. Just now, he had seen that Lu Ming was at the 7th level of the Divine Lord realm, which was why he challenged Lu Ming. You and I are at the same level. I want to see what abilities you have and how many moves you can take from me. Remember, cultivators are not ordinary people. It's not enough to be good-looking. Looks are just skin and are useless to us. The four-armed youth said proudly. Then, divine light burst forth, and 4 sabers appeared on his 4 arms. Make your move, Lu Ming said coolly. Towards a person at the 7th level of the Divine Lord realm, he really couldn't raise his interest. In a battle of the same level, he had not encountered many people who could fight along the way. Not to mention, he had a taboo body now. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor, Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 38-22. Lu Ming said nonchalantly. In the four-armed youth's eyes, Lu Ming was being arrogant and looking down on him. Hence, he was even more furious. Humph. You're just a human. Let's see what you have to be arrogant about. Take my 4-saber stream, infinite slash. The four-armed youth roared and dashed towards Lu Ming. His 4 sabers spun wildly and slashed towards Lu Ming. The 4 sabers seemed to have become a whirlpool of sabers, trying to swallow Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's expression did not change. He was still watching calmly. Is this brat scared out of his wits? Why isn't he fighting back? Does he think he can easily take Shangguan Yunshu's attack? Shangguan Yunshu is a supreme talent of the multi-hand race. He's famous in the multi-hand race. Not many people can compare to him. Humph. This brat is either scared out of his wits or he's courting death. Someone sneered. At this moment, Shangguan Yunshu's attack was about to land on Lu Ming's body. At this moment, Lu Ming made his move. Boom. Lu Ming threw out a punch, causing the air to tremble. The violent fist force was like a transparent pillar of air that blasted towards the whirlpool formed by Shangguan Yunshu's saber. With a loud bang, the whirlpool of sabers disappeared without a trace. At the same time, Shangguan Yunshu's body flew back with a scream. He fell straight down and landed heavily on the ground. His body was covered in blood. His clothes were tattered, and there were wounds all over his body caused by the force. Shangguan Yunshu was defeated in one move. Everyone looked at each other in dismay. Most of the people present were supreme talents of the multi-hand race. Naturally, they knew Shangguan Yunshu. They knew that Shangguan Yunshu's combat strength was top-notch, but they did not expect him to be defeated by Lu Ming so easily. It seems that this brat is quite strong. Thoughts flashed through many people's minds. Interesting. Brat, you're quite strong, but you're too arrogant. Let me take you on. Another young man sneered. A cold aura enveloped Lu Ming. This was an 8th-level Divine Lord multi-hand race's prodigy. I'm arrogant? Lu Ming was speechless. He hadn't said a word from the beginning to the end, okay? How was he arrogant? This youth was probably just finding a reason for himself to make a move. After all, he was an 8th-level Divine Lord, 1 level higher than Lu Ming. He was suspected of using force to suppress the weak, afraid that Ling Yue would look down on him. If you want to make a move, then make your move. Cut the crap. Lu Ming said indifferently. The young man snorted coldly and was about to make a move. At that instant, more than 10 figures could be seen flying toward them rapidly from the distance. They were the Sky Prides of the multi-hand race. These Sky Prides must have traveled a long way, which was why they had only just arrived. At the same time, Lu Ming felt the vitality stone fragment in his body tremble violently. Murong Qiu Shui. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly flickered a few times. He was ecstatic. Among the dozen or so people behind him, who else could the leader be but Murong Qiushui? Murong Qiushui had indeed left the primordial world and was lured out by Ling Yue. Their plan had already succeeded by half. On the other side, Ling Yue also looked at Murong Qiushui. Clearly, she had also sensed the vitality stone fragment in Murong Qiushui's body. However, Ling Yue had used a special method to seal the aura of the vitality stone fragment, so Murong Qiushui couldn't sense it. However, he could sense the aura of the vitality stone fragment in Lu Ming's body. Swish! Murong Qiushui's eyes emitted a resplendent divine light as he stared at Lu Ming. A burning light flashed in the depths of his eyes. However, Murong Qiushui didn't attack immediately. With so many people here, the news of the vitality stone fragment couldn't be spread. Lu Ming and Murong Qiushui looked at each other. Their eyes flickered, indicating that they had also sensed the other party's vitality stone fragment. Kid, make your move. The 8th level divine monarch multi-hand race prodigy stared at Lu Ming and shouted. Alright, then I'll play with you. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. After saying this, he charged at the other party. A light sword condensed in Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming held the light sword and charged at the other party, taking the initiative to attack. The other party gave a cold snort and 5 arms appeared on his body. In the multi-hand race, the more arms one had, the higher their talent. This person's talent was even higher than Shangguan Yunxiu's. This person was a very famous prodigy in the multi-hand race. His name was Shangguan Yunqing. Swish, swish, swish. Shangguan Yunqing held 5 sabers in his hand and slashed out. 5 saber lights cut through the void and slashed at Lu Ming. Clang, clang. The saber lights and Lu Ming's sword lights constantly clashed. The two of them exchanged dozens of blows, but there was no victor. Of course, it wasn't that Shangguan Yunqing was so powerful that he could fight Lu Ming with a cultivation 1 level higher than Lu Ming. Rather, Lu Ming deliberately fought to a draw with Shangguan Yunqing. He didn't use much strength at all. Seeing Murong Qiushui come, Lu Ming naturally wouldn't reveal his strength. Otherwise, what would he do if he scared Murong Qiushui? Scaring Murong Qiushui wasn't part of their plan. Soon, the two of them exchanged over 100 blows. At this time, Lu Ming began to gain the upper hand. Even so, it shocked the surrounding people. Lu Ming was actually slowly suppressing Shangguan Yunqing with a cultivation 1 level lower. It was shocking. Shangguan Yunqing roared and used all his strength. The sabers in his 5 arms seemed to turn into 5 divine lights, so fast that they couldn't be seen clearly. He was already using all the strength he could muster. Humph, watch me defeat you in 1 move. 1 sword cold 19 provinces. Lu Ming roared. His sword light suddenly exploded, breaking Shangguan Yunqing's saber light in 1 fell swoop, leaving a deep sword mark on his body. Shangguan Yunqing retreated. His body was almost cut in half, suffering heavy injuries. You've lost, Lu Ming said in a very arrogant tone. The move he called out just now was fake. There was no such move at all, it was just a bit more power. Lu Ming knew that he had to use some powerful trump cards to show his extraordinariness. This was because the Life Soul Source stone fragment only chose top-level monsters. So, he couldn't appear too weak or too strong. Otherwise, it would arouse Murong Qiushui's suspicion. Shangguan Yunqing unwillingly retreated. I'll fight you. At this moment, another multi-handed race genius stood out, wanting to challenge Lu Ming. But now, Lu Ming didn't have the heart to accept his challenge, so he directly refused. I suddenly remembered that I have something to do, so I'll be leaving. Lu Ming cupped his fists and stepped into the air, disappearing in the blink of an eye. You want to avoid me? Seeing Lu Ming leave, Murong Qiushui sneered in his heart. The corners of his mouth curled up and his eyes revealed a cold glow. In his opinion, Lu Ming must have sensed the Life Soul Source stone fragment in his body and was afraid that he would make a move, so he left early to avoid Murong Qiushui. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 3823. In Murong Qiushui's eyes, Lu Ming had left early to avoid him. But was it that easy to avoid him? It was clearly impossible. You all stay here. I have something to do, so I need to leave first. Murong Chiu Shui ordered the youths who came with him. Then he came in front of Ling Yue and said goodbye to her before quickly leaving. We're about to succeed. Now it's up to Mu Yun. Seeing Murong Chiu Shui leave, Ling Yue was filled with joy. Murong Chiu Shui did not head in Lu Ming's direction at first because it would be too obvious. Once Lu Ming left, he headed in the same direction as Lu Ming, which would make people think. After he left the God Arm Manor, he used his full speed to chase after Lu Ming. Lu Ming's speed was not fast. After he left, he directly flew out of the God Arm planet and into the starry sky. With his current speed, even if he did not fly at full speed, he was still shockingly fast. He kept moving through the starry sky and soon he was far away from the God Arm planet. Who? Suddenly, Lu Ming stopped in his tracks and stared intently at the void in front of him. You really are worthy of being the person who obtained the Life Soul Source Stone fragment. Your spiritual sense is truly sharp. A cold voice rang out. Following that, the void that Lu Ming was staring at rippled and a figure appeared. This figure was Murong Chiu Shui. After chasing for a while, he finally caught up to Lu Ming. You're finally here, Lu Ming softly said. Murong Chiu Shui had caught up, so he did not need to pretend anymore. Of course I'm here, we don't need to hide anymore. Hand over the Life Soul Source Stone fragment on you and I can let you live. I'll spare your life. Murong Chiu Shui coldly said. If I hand over the Life Soul Source Stone fragment, will you let me go? Aren't you afraid that I'll reveal the disappearance of the Life Soul Source Stone? Lu Ming said with a faint smile. Murong Chiu Shui's eyes were filled with cold killing intent as he said with a cold smile, it seems like you're not stupid. When he said he would let Lu Ming go, it was just a casual remark. Naturally, he would not let Lu Ming go. He had snatched Lu Ming's Life Soul Essence Stone fragment and let Lu Ming go. Lu Ming would definitely leak the news of the Life Soul Essence Stone. How could he let Lu Ming go? You want to kill me? Let's see if you can do it. Lu Ming said. Humph, do you think that with your 7th level Divine Lord Cultivation, you can contend with me? How naive. Murong Chiu Shui gave a cold laugh. As soon as his voice fell, a blade glow appeared in his hand. It was a flying dagger. Its speed was astonishing as it pierced towards Lu Ming's glabella. Quasi-Emperor. As soon as he made his move, Lu Ming could sense that Murong Chiu Shui's cultivation had already reached the Quasi-Emperor realm. Back in the primordial divine spirit world, Murong Chiu Shui's cultivation had only just broken through to the 1st level Divine Lord realm. In just a few years, he had already reached the Quasi-Emperor realm. It could be imagined that Murong Chiu Shui had also obtained a great opportunity during this time. In fact, those who could obtain the recognition of the Life Soul Essence Stone fragment all had terrifying talent and great opportunities. They were all geniuses among geniuses, 1 in a billion heroes. The flying dagger's speed was extremely shocking, instantly approaching Lu Ming. At the critical moment, Lu Ming sent out a punch, blocking the flying dagger. The two exploded with a heaven-shaking explosion and then Lu Ming quickly retreated. He felt a bloody mark appear on his fist. Such shocking attack power. Lu Ming felt that the power of Murong Chiu Shui's attack was close to the attack power of the small dagger. You can actually take my dagger? Not bad, you are worthy of being recognized by the Life Soul Meteorite fragment. It seems like you were hiding your strength before. Murong Chiu Shui was very surprised to see Lu Ming take his dagger. With Lu Ming's previous performance, he definitely wouldn't be able to take this dagger. Use your full strength, otherwise, you won't have a chance to use it in the future. Lu Ming said. No chance to use it? Could it be that you want to kill me? Murong Chiu Shui laughed. Although Lu Ming's strength wasn't bad, he hadn't used his full strength just now. Did Lu Ming think that he could kill him? Too naive. A powerful aura erupted from Murong Chiu Shui's body. At the same time, he used his origin secret technique. His origin secret technique was still a set of flying daggers. But compared to before, Murong Chiu Shui's origin secret technique was many times stronger. It had already severed 3 shackles. At the same time, he turned into a primordial divine body, a giant primordial divine spirit with 9 arms. Die for me! Murong Qiu Shui roared. The 9 flying daggers pierced through the air, killing Lu Ming with terrifying might. This person's battle strength was shockingly strong. He wasn't much weaker than the 9 silkworm prince of the heavenly silkworm race. This was where his confidence came from. Not to mention that Lu Ming was only a 7th-layer divine monarch. Even if Lu Ming was a quasi-emperor, he was confident that he could kill Lu Ming. Lu Ming squinted his eyes slightly. In an instant, he activated the battle incantation, which increased his combat power by 5 times. All the cells in his body trembled continuously, activating all the energy within them. Lu Ming punched out continuously. Terrifying fist energy erupted, continuously attacking Murong Qiu Shui's flying daggers. Every time they collided, there would be a huge explosion in the starry sky. The terrifying energy and dagger light swept across the starry sky for billions of miles. Countless meteorites exploded. Xiu. A dagger light split a giant resource planet in half. A terrifying fist energy hit a star, creating a passageway in the middle of the star. It almost caused the star to explode. In an instant, the two exchanged more than 50 moves, but there was no clear winner. It had to be said that Murong Qiu Shui's battle strength was really strong. With his battle strength, he was close to the 9 silkworm prince. Even if he was placed in the top 100 quasi-emperors list, he would be ranked in the 50s. However, Murong Qiu Shui was even more shocked. With his battle strength, he couldn't take down Lu Ming. How much strength had Lu Ming hidden before? It was too terrifying. With Lu Ming's battle strength, why did he seem to be afraid of him and leave in a hurry? Not good, I've been tricked. This person deliberately lured me out. With a flash of inspiration, Murong Qiu Shui guessed Lu Ming's goal. You deliberately lured me out, right? Are you confident that you can deal with me? Murong Qiu Shui roared and raised his battle strength to the peak. A set of flying daggers fused together, forming a giant flying dagger. Xiu. The giant flying dagger flew at Lu Ming. It was terrifying to the extreme. Great Divine Wind Technique. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He used the Great Divine Wind Technique and also raised his battle strength to the peak, attacking Murong Qiu Shui. With a heaven-destroying explosion, the giant flying dagger shattered. Murong Qiu Shui spat out a large mouthful of blood and was sent flying. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 38-24. When Lu Ming used the Great Divine Wind Technique, Murong Qiu Shui finally couldn't resist and was forced back by Lu Ming's attack while coughing out blood. Great Divine Wind Technique, are you Mu Yun? Murong Qiu Shui roared out. The matter between Mu Yun and Ling Yue had caused a stir, so how could Murong Qiu Shui not know? Thinking about how Ling Yue had suddenly appeared here, he was even more certain that the person in front of him was Mu Yun. A young heaven's pride that knew the Great Divine Wind Technique and had a relationship with Ling Yue. If it wasn't Mu Yun, who else could it be? He naturally wouldn't think that the person in front of him was Lu Ming from the primordial world. The current Lu Ming had used the 3-corpse beheading technique to create his current body, which was a pure forbidden body. His life origin aura had undergone a fundamental change, so he naturally couldn't recognize him. I'll send you on your way, Lu Ming coldly said. His body was wrapped in wind as he charged at Murong Qiu Shui. With a palm, it was like a cosmic storm had swept through the starry sky, sweeping through the vast starry sky. Murong Qiu Shui was enveloped by the endless wind, like a small boat in the sea. Murong Qiu Shui roared out as he charged forward with all his might, wanting to break through. However, he was already injured, so it was even harder for him to break through Lu Ming's attack. In the endless wind, the two of them continued to exchange blows. After a few moves, Murong Qiu Shui was hit by Lu Ming again. Half of his body exploded and he was heavily injured. Don't even think about killing me. Murong Qiu Shui's eyes were blood red as his divine power burned. He went all out and in the end, even his primordial divine body began to burn. Xiu. He turned into a resplendent blade light and charged to the other side of the starry sky, wanting to escape. He went all out like this, but he was actually able to break through the wind and was about to charge out. However, Lu Ming's expression was very relaxed. There was no change at all and he wasn't in a hurry to chase after him. Because there was no need to rush to chase after him, he had already released Qiu. Xiu. In the starry sky, a moonlight spear light shot out, stabbing at Murong Qiu Shui. The moon-colored spear glow was incomparably sharp. It broke through the void and released a terrifying whistling sound. It contained a destructive power that made Murong Qiu Shui's face pale with fright. He gathered all his strength and turned it into a flying dagger, blocking in front of him. Clang! The moonlight spear light collided with the flying knife light. A dazzling light appeared and in the next moment, the flying dagger's blade glow was shattered. The moon-colored spear glow did not stop as it stabbed into Murong Qiu Shui, piercing through his body. The lower half of Murong Qiu Shui's body had been completely blown apart, leaving only his head and chest intact. His injuries were extremely serious, leaving him extremely weak. He no longer had the strength to fight. With a flash of moonlight, Qiu's silver spear appeared, turning back into a ball. Its mouth was filled with sharp teeth as it stared at Murong Qiu Shui. Metallic life form? How did you get this metallic life form? Murong Qiu Shui stared right at Qiu with eyes filled with disbelief. He recognized Qiu. In the past, Lu Ming had combined with Qiu to defeat him. Although the metallic life forms looked very similar, after carefully sensing it, he could still recognize that this metallic life form belonged to Lu Ming. Why would Lu Ming's metallic life form appear by Mu Yun's side? Mu Yun was Lu Ming? Impossible, their life source auras were completely different. This could not be faked, he definitely would not make a mistake. This metallic life form originally belonged to me, so of course it's by my side. What? How long has it been and you already don't recognize me? Lu Ming stepped through the air. While he spoke, his appearance began to change, turning into Lu Ming's original appearance. Murong Qiu Shui saw Lu Ming's appearance and his pupils rapidly shrank. Lu Ming, you're Lu Ming. Impossible, how could you be Lu Ming? Your life source, how could it change? Murong Qiu Shui gave a hysterical roar. The great desolate universe is endless and there are countless secret techniques. How could you know? I used a secret technique to change my life source aura. Murong Qiu Shui, I didn't kill you in the primordial god world, but it's not too late to kill you now. Lu Ming coldly said as he stepped through the air with the endless wind. With Lu Ming's words, Murong Qiu Shui was certain that the person in front of him was Lu Ming. Like this, it was even harder for him to accept. He gave a hysterical roar. No, impossible, this is impossible, I'm not willing. He felt slightly better if he had been defeated by the world-renowned Mu Yun. However, he could not accept the fact that he had been defeated by Lu Ming. During this time, he had obtained a large opportunity and wildly improved in all aspects. Compared to the past, he could not be compared at all, he was much stronger. He had been filled with confidence before that if he met Lu Ming again, he could suppress Lu Ming with a single finger. It was a pity that when he met Lu Ming, he was still not a match for Lu Ming. This blow to him was just too big. I'll send you on your way. Lu Ming coldly said. Without wasting words, he charged at Murong Qiu Shui with the endless wind. The current Murong Qiu Shui did not have any strength to fight back, he could not dodge Lu Ming's attack at all. With an unwilling pitiful cry, Murong Qiu Shui was turned to ashes in the wind. Even his soul could not escape. However, Lu Ming had a sense of propriety, he still kept Murong Qiu Shui's storage ring. In addition, after Murong Qiu Shui turned to ashes, a white light flashed and flew off into the distance. Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment. Lu Ming could see with a single glance that it was a Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment that wanted to escape. A Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment would normally choose its master. If it did not recognize its master, it would escape. But now it had no choice. Qiu. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Qiu. Qiu's body flashed and appeared in front of the Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment. Its body wriggled and turned into a large net, blocking the path of the Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment. Lu Ming reached out with his hand and with endless wind, he grabbed at the Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment. The Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment did not have any power on its own and could not escape at all. Lu Ming grabbed it. Let me go, let me go. An old man appeared on the life spirit source stone fragment. He looked exactly the same as the rock spirit in Lu Ming's life spirit source stone fragment. This was also the rock spirit. But this rock spirit had a look of horror on its face, as if it knew that it was in trouble. Ha, great, great. Let me swallow him. This way, the two life spirit source stone fragments can fuse together. The life spirit in Lu Ming's body, the rock spirit, shouted excitedly. Go! Lu Ming used the forbidden power to control the rock spirit and then released his life spirit source stone fragment. Lu Ming's life spirit, the rock spirit, immediately pounced at the rock spirit and tore at it. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor, Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 3825. The stone spirit of Murong Qiu Shui's life soul source stone struggled wildly, but Lu Ming controlled it with his forbidden power. It couldn't break free at all and couldn't even resist. It couldn't resist and could only be beaten. Soon, Lu Ming's stone spirit swallowed a piece of it and it became weaker and weaker. You swallowed me, but you'll be swallowed by others sooner or later. The stone spirit let out an unwilling roar and cursed Lu Ming's life soul source stone spirit. But in the next moment, its roar came to an abrupt end because it had been shattered by Lu Ming's life soul source stone spirit and was crazily absorbing it. After absorbing Murong Qiu Shui's life soul source stone spirit, Lu Ming's life soul source stone spirit glowed and its aura became stronger and more condensed. And that life soul source stone spirit also merged with Lu Ming's life soul source stone spirit. Lu Ming's life soul source stone spirit grew in size and shined brightly. How is it? Did you make any progress after swallowing the other stone spirit? Or, do you know more about the life soul heavenly court? Lu Ming asked the stone spirit. The stone spirit burped and said with a satisfied look, I've learned some things. I'm afraid that the heavenly court life spirit hasn't disappeared yet. It's still floating in the vast universe. Also, the 9 life soul palaces under the heavenly court life spirit haven't been destroyed yet. If we can find the heavenly court life spirit and the 9 Nethersal palaces, we'll gain endless treasures. What? The life soul heavenly court and the 9 life soul palaces are still there? Lu Ming was shocked. Wasn't the life soul heavenly court destroyed by the heavenly palace? I don't know the details. Maybe the ruins are still there and the experts of the life soul heavenly court have all died. The life soul source stone spirit said. Lu Ming nodded. That was possible. The life spirit heavenly court was the mortal enemy of the heavenly palace. How could the heavenly palace allow the life spirit heavenly court to exist in the world? If so, how could they maintain the status of the heavenly palace? Lu Ming's heart began to burn. If the life soul heavenly court still had 9 life soul palaces floating in the universe, it would be a great opportunity to find them. This was because if they were controlled by the heavenly palace, they would not be allowed to wander freely in the universe. Floating in the universe meant that it was not under the control of the heavenly palace. Then do you know where the life spirit heavenly court or the 9 life spirit palaces are? Lu Ming asked. I don't know. The rock spirit answered very straightforwardly, which greatly disappointed Lu Ming. Lu Ming put away the fragments of the life spirit essence stone. He did not linger and left in a flash. A few days later, Lu Ming arrived at a remote planet and waited, because this was the place where he and Ling Yuwei had agreed to meet. Sure enough, not long after, Ling Yuwei walked through the air like a fairy from a painting. How is it? Did you succeed? Ling Yuwei asked with a smile. Actually, when she saw Lu Ming appear here, she knew that Lu Ming had succeeded. Lu Ming nodded and said, Murong Qiu Shui's life spirit stone fragment has already fused with mine. When I obtain the next life spirit stone fragment, it will be yours. No problem. Ling Yuwei smiled and then asked expectantly, You fused with Murong Qiu Shui's life spirit stone fragment. Did you get any news? News about the life spirit heavenly court? Almost none. Lu Ming did not hide anything and told her the news that the rock spirit had told him. Ling Yuwei was also a little disappointed. Next, let's go find the blood demon race's Shui Ming. Ling Yuwei said. Now, you should tell us how we are going to deal with Shui Ming, right? You should have a plan, right? Are you still going to rely on the beauty trap? Lu Ming asked. Of course not. Ling Yue shook her head and said, I've studied Xue Ming for a long time. Xue Ming is much harder to deal with than Murong Qiu Shui. It's impossible to rely on the beauty trap because this person is a cultivation maniac and has no interest in women. Moreover, this person's combat strength is very strong. Although his cultivation is only at the Quasi-Emperor realm, he is ranked 11th on the Quasi-Emperor realm top 100 list. Even many Quasi-Emperor realm monsters of the top 10 races have been defeated by him. 11th on the Quasi-Emperor realm top 100 list. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly. He had fought with 9 Silkworm Prince before and knew how terrifying he was. However, 9 Silkworm Prince was only ranked 49th on the Quasi-Emperor realm top 100 list. Xue Ming, on the other hand, was ranked 11th on the Quasi-Emperor realm top 100 list. He was definitely standing at the peak of the Quasi-Emperor realm in the universe. His combat strength was most likely extremely terrifying. According to Lu Ming's knowledge, Ling Yue was ranked 16th on the Quasi-Emperor realm top 100 list. In a one-on-one battle, she was probably not a match for Xue Ming. This was also the reason why Ling Yue had not made a move. Now that she had Lu Ming's help, she decided to make a move. Yes, but the most troublesome thing about Xue Ming is not his strength, but his cautiousness. This person cultivates the blood demon doppelganger technique and can cultivate multiple doppelgangers. Usually, when he is outside or when he encounters something, it is his doppelgangers who take action. A treasure like the Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment will definitely be carried by Xue Ming's main body. Even if we kill his doppelgangers, we won't be able to obtain the Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment. Ling Yue explained. Lu Ming frowned. According to this, Xue Ming was indeed very difficult to deal with. He was far from being comparable to Murong Qiu Shui. You must have a plan. Tell me everything. Lu Ming said. I do have a plan. The first step of the plan is to lure out Xue Ming's main body. If we want to lure out Xue Ming's main body, there is only one way, which is to rely on the Blood God Fruit. Ling Yue said. Blood God Fruit. That's right. Xue Ming cultivates the Blood Demon Divine Body, which is a very powerful physique secret technique. The Blood God Fruit has an extremely shocking effect on cultivating the Blood Demon Divine Body. In fact, the Blood God Fruit has an extremely strong effect on people who cultivate the Blood Dao. However, the Blood God Fruit has a special characteristic. Once it is picked, it must be consumed in a short period of time. Otherwise, the medicinal properties of the Blood God Fruit will quickly dissipate. Therefore, as long as there is news of the Blood God Fruit, Xue Ming's main body will definitely make a move. This is because even if he uses his doppelgangers to obtain the Blood God Fruit, he won't be able to absorb it in a short period of time. Ling Yue said. So, you already have news of the Blood God Fruit? Lu Ming said. That's right. After many investigations, I do have news of the Blood God Fruit. Ling Yue nodded. However, have you thought of a problem? Even if we have news of the Blood God Fruit and release the location of the Blood God Fruit, can the two of us deal with Xue Ming? As long as Xue Ming brings a few high-level divine emperors with him, we will be seeking death. Lu Ming said. That's right. These monstrous geniuses were not lone wolves. They had huge clans behind them. As long as Xue Ming brought a group of experts with him, they would not be able to make a move. Chapter 3826. If Xue Ming brought a group of experts with him, the two of them wouldn't be able to do anything. Unless Ling Yue also brought a group of experts from the Elf clan, then their plan and the matter of the Life Spirit Origin Stone would be exposed. So, it's about the next step of the plan. It's the most important. Over the years, I have refined a secret treasure. With my special physique, I can move the entire Blood God Fruit tree away without letting the energy of the Blood God Fruit disappear. Then I can move the Blood God Fruit tree to a place where experts of the Divine Emperor realm cannot enter. In this way, even if Xue Ming can bring people with him, he can only bring people of the Quasi-Emperor realm. For us, the Quasi-Emperor realm is not a problem. Ling Yue also explained the next step of the plan. Lu Ming couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. Ling Yue's plan was so meticulous that she had calculated every step. Could be said to be flawless. It could be seen that Ling Yue had been planning to deal with Xue Ming for a long time. This woman was very scary. Lu Ming secretly warned himself in his heart that he had to be careful when cooperating with this woman. If he was careless, he would be swallowed whole by her. Where is the location of the blood god fruit? Also, where do you want to transplant the blood god fruit tree? Lu Ming asked. The blood god fruit is in the blood shadow fiend land, and the best place to transplant it is in the Pangshan ruins. The Pangshan ruins is a ruin left behind by a powerful force in the ancient times. In this ruin, there is an incomparably powerful array formation. Existences above the divine emperor realm cannot enter, or else they will be attacked by the great array formation. Ling Yue said. Lu Ming nodded. In fact, many forces would have similar formations. Experts who had reached a certain level of cultivation would not be able to enter. Only the weak could enter. This was also a form of protection for their own forces. What if an expert suddenly attacked from the inside? Lu Ming chatted with Ling Yue for a while. After that, Lu Ming went through the plan in his mind and found that it was indeed feasible. Xue Ming could not resist the temptation of the blood god fruit. His main body would come out and snatch the blood god fruit. That would be their chance. Alright, the plan is set. Let's go to the blood shadow fiend land and transplant the blood god fruit tree. Lu Ming said. Then, the two of them set off for the blood shadow demonic land. The blood shadow demonic land was actually not very far from the territory controlled by the blood demon tribe. However, it was a long distance away from the territory controlled by the multi-hand race. Even if there were wormholes, there were still some roads that weren't connected by wormholes. It took the two of them half a month to reach the blood shadow demonic land. The blood shadow demonic land was an extremely special place. In the starry sky, there were numerous continents floating. The number of these continents was shocking, and it was impossible to see the end of them. Within the endless mainland, there was a blood chi that shrouded the entire place, making it look hazy. According to legends, the blood shadow demonic land was a huge planet in the distant past. This planet wasn't an ordinary one. It was similar to the Dragon Clan's mother planet. Although it wasn't as big as the Dragon Clan's mother planet, it wasn't too far off. In the primitive universe, there were all kinds of celestial bodies that could give birth to living beings. There were all kinds of small kiliocosms and medium kiliocosms. There were also floating mountains, floating islands, and floating continents in the universe. Of course, the most common celestial body was still the planet. There were many types of planets. For example, planets that could give birth to life, planets that could mine ores, or planets that could grow divine medicines. There were also some desolate planets. As for the planets of life, they were also divided into 3, 6, and 9 grades. Most of the planets that Lu Ming had seen were the most ordinary ones. There were also high-level planets and superplanets. The highest level was the mother planet of the various races. It was born at the beginning of the universe and had given birth to primordial gods, such as the Dragon Clan's mother planet. As for the blood shadow demonic land, at the beginning, it was a super planet. Later on, a super war broke out and this super planet was destroyed, forming the blood shadow demonic land. Legend has it that a powerful existence fell in the blood shadow demonic land. His blood scattered everywhere, and his blood aura didn't dissipate for countless years, forming the blood shadow demonic land. Furthermore, because of this blood aura, many evil creatures were born inside. Be careful when you enter later. Ling Yue reminded. Lu Ming nodded. The two of them flew into the blood shadow demonic land like two streaks of light. As soon as they entered the blood shadow demonic land, the blood mist rushed towards the two of them. It was extremely corrosive, and Ling Yue circulated her divine power to block it. As for Lu Ming, he naturally didn't need to circulate his divine power. His skin was a powerful defensive force that blocked the corrosion of the blood mist. Kill, kill, kill. Moreover, waves of roars came out from the blood mist. It was like a demonic sound that shook one's soul. Those with weak willpower would be affected by this demonic sound, causing them to go crazy and go berserk. However, Lu Ming and Ling Yue were both extraordinary people. Their willpower was firm, so this bit of demonic sound was nothing to them. Ling Yue took out a map and looked at it. There were tens of millions of floating continents here. Without a map, finding a blood god fruit tree would be like finding a needle in a haystack. The two of them flew in the same direction. Yee! Suddenly, strange cries could be heard. Then, a large group of blood-colored birds rushed out from a continent and rushed towards Lu Ming and Ling Yue. They were like countless streaks of blood light. "Let me do it!" Ling Yue shouted. In her hand, an emerald green longbow had unknowingly appeared. Ling Yue pulled the bowstring, and an emerald green arrow immediately condensed. Releasing the bowstring, the emerald green arrow flew out like a bolt of lightning. An astonishing scene appeared. The emerald green arrow flew out and continuously split apart. 1 divided into 2, 2 divided into 4, 4 divided into 8, 8 divided into 16. The speed at which it split was extremely fast. In a breath's time, the sky was filled with emerald green arrows. When the arrows approached the strange birds, the sky was filled with arrows. It was unknown how many there were. Puff, puff, puff. The blood-colored birds that filled the sky were struck by the arrows, pierced through by the arrows, and fell to the ground. In just an instant, the densely packed blood-colored birds were all killed. What a powerful method! Lu Ming exclaimed in his heart. This kind of archery skill really made people gasp in amazement. This was only Ling Yue's casual attack. If she were to seriously attack, who knew how powerful she would be? She was ranked 16th on the Quasi-Emperor Top 100 list, a proud daughter of heaven on the Pearl list. She was definitely an influential figure in the universe. Although Lu Ming had a taboo body, he didn't dare to underestimate these monsters. After the strange birds were killed, the two of them continued forward. Next, the two of them would be attacked by various strange creatures from time to time. However, these creatures weren't very strong and were easily killed by the two of them. The two of them took turns to attack and quickly flew over 100 continents. Chapter 38:27. The two continued to fly towards the location of the blood god fruit tree. Boom! Suddenly, a rumbling sound came from not far ahead. Rays of divine light burst forth, accompanied by strange roars. In front, there was a group of people wearing blood-red robes, surrounding and killing a group of blood-red tiger-like creatures. And this group of blood-red tigers was surrounding a blood-red flower. Hurry up and kill these beasts. We can't let these beasts destroy the blood demon flower. A youth wearing a blood-red robe with a golden skull embroidered on it gave the order. The tiger-like life forms were mostly 3rd level to 6th level Divine Lord existences. And these blood-robed people were all 7th level Divine Lord and above. Their combat strength was much stronger. Under a series of attacks, the tiger-like life forms were all slain. That youth picked the blood demon flower in joy. "Let's go," Ling Yue said. She didn't want to cause any more trouble and wanted to go around from the side. "Stop them." The two of them hadn't flown far when a cold voice sounded from the blood-robed youth. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. With a flash, more than a dozen blood-robed people surrounded Lu Ming and Ling Yue. The blood-robed youth walked over and stared at Ling Yue, completely ignoring Lu Ming. "Haha, I didn't expect to meet such a beauty in such a place. The heavens are really biased towards me, ha." The blood-robed youth laughed loudly, an evil light flashing in his eyes. Ling Yue's face darkened. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. It seemed that this fellow had taken a fancy to Ling Yue. "Scram!" Ling Yue shouted coldly. Being looked at by the blood-robed youth like this, she felt uncomfortable all over. "Oh, your temper isn't small, but I like it. You guys, kill that brat and control this girl. Leave her to me to deal with." The blood-robed youth gave the order. "Brat, die for me." An 8th level Divine Lord old man held a sharp sword and stabbed at Lu Ming. The sword light was sharp and went straight for Lu Ming's glabella, wanting to kill Lu Ming in one strike. But an ordinary 8th level Divine Lord really didn't enter Lu Ming's eyes. Bang! Lu Ming moved later but arrived first. He kicked out and accurately kicked the old man's face. The old man screamed as his body flew out like a broken sack. His face was completely deformed. Everyone else was stunned. He did not expect that Lu Ming's strength was so strong, defeating an 8th level Divine Lord powerhouse in one move. How dare you hit my men? Let's attack together and cripple this brat. The blood-robed youth roared furiously. Boom, boom. More than a dozen blood-robed men emitted powerful auras as they charged towards Lu Ming. These people, there were 7th-level Divine Lords, and there were also 8th-level and 9th-level Divine Lords. There were even 2 quasi-emperor-level figures. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold, his heart filled with killing intent. Since these people didn't know what was good for them, he didn't mind sending them on their way. However, before Lu Ming could make a move, Ling Yuwei had already made her move. An arrow suddenly flew out of Ling Yuwei's hand. This arrow seemed to have a mind of its own as it danced in the air like a bolt of lightning. Blood splattered in all directions. More than a dozen blood-robed men, including the blood-soaked youth, were shot at the same time. Some people were shot in the chest, some in the shoulder, and the blood-robed youth was shot in one of his eyes. However, these people did not die. Clearly, Ling Yuwei had shown mercy. More than a dozen blood-robed men looked at Ling Yuwei in horror. Ling Yuwei's strength was too terrifying. More than a dozen experts, including 2 quasi-emperors, were injured in an instant. Get lost! Ling Yuwei shouted coldly. The blood-robed youth and the others hurriedly ran away in fear. You're not going to kill them? Lu Ming said. There's no deep hatred. I'll give them a chance. If there's a next time, I won't show mercy. Ling Yuwei said. Lu Ming shook his head slightly. This Ling Yuwei still had the temper of a big race's young miss. She probably didn't have much experience. If it were Lu Ming, since he had made a move, he wouldn't show mercy to avoid future troubles. However, Lu Ming wouldn't deliberately chase after her. Next, the 2 of them continued to move forward. Just like that, a few days passed and they finally approached their destination. In front of them was a huge continent. The blood mist on this continent was denser than in other places, and the creatures it nurtured were also more powerful. The 2 of them restrained their auras, avoided those creatures, and arrived at a valley. In the depths of the valley, blood energy filled the air, and the situation inside could not be seen clearly. The blood god fruit tree should be in the depths of this valley. Let's go in, Ling Yuwei said. Lu Ming nodded and stepped into the valley with Ling Yuwei. Suddenly, furious roars came from all directions, and the ground began to rumble. It was as if an army of thousands of men and horses were charging toward them. Countless monsters charged towards them. In the sky, a group of blood-robed people appeared. Lu Ming swept his gaze across and saw the blood-soaked youth from before. Go to hell, you 2 bastards. Those blood-soaked youths revealed ferocious expressions, their killing intent as cold as knives. Ling Yuwei's face immediately darkened. Obviously, these monsters were lured here by the blood-soaked youth and the others. Their goal was to borrow the power of the monsters to kill Lu Ming and the others. You're courting death, Ling Yuwei shouted coldly. She spared the other party's life, but the other party actually came to kill her, which made her want to kill. Buzz! The emerald green longbow reappeared, and the arrows flew out, turning into countless emerald green arrows. Immediately, a large number of monsters were killed by the arrows. In the blink of an eye, thousands of powerful monsters were killed. So strong! In the sky, the blood-robed people's expressions changed, shocked by Ling Yuwei's strength. However, they were not afraid, because this time, there were god emperors following them. Swish! At this time, Lu Ming soared into the sky and rushed towards the blood-robed youth and the others. A 7th-level divine lord dares to come up. You're courting death, go and kill him. The blood-robed youth shouted coldly. Immediately, a quasi-emperor stepped out, turned into a sword light, and charged towards Lu Ming. In their opinion, Ling Yuwei was a quasi-emperor, so she was a great threat. As for Lu Ming, he was only a 7th-level divine lord. How much of a threat could he be? A quasi-emperor was more than enough to deal with him. Boom! Lu Ming punched out, aiming at the other party's sword light. When the sword gleam collided with Lu Ming's fist, the sword gleam directly collapsed. The fist force did not stop and continued to crush the other party. The crimson-robed quasi-emperor did not even have the chance to scream. Under the crushing force of Lu Ming's fist, The crimson-robed man exploded and his body and soul were destroyed. How is this possible? The blood-robed youth and the other blood-robed people couldn't help but widen their eyes. A 7th-level divine lord killed a quasi-emperor in one move. Monster, this was a peerless monster. Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 3828. Boom. Lu Ming stepped in the air, reaching the same height as the blood-robed youth and the rest. He stepped forward and headed toward the blood-robed youth. He was going to kill all of them. Little boy, do you know who I am? I'm the young master of the Blood Skull pirate group. You dared to kill our people. We'll take revenge on you, shouted the young man in the blood-red robe. So you're from the Blood Skull pirate group. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He knew about the pirate group. The great desolate universe was too vast. In the boundless starry sky, there were opportunities everywhere. This naturally gave birth to countless interstellar pirates and interstellar pirate groups. However, most of the interstellar pirate groups were not that strong. However, among all the interstellar pirate crews, there were some who were extremely powerful. They were one of the top 10 interstellar pirate groups. The Bloody Hole pirate group was one of the top 10 interstellar pirate groups. The top 10 interstellar pirate groups were extremely strong. They were as strong as some of the strongest clans in the primitive universe. It turned out that those people were from one of the top 10 interstellar pirate groups. No wonder they were so bold and ruthless. However, Lu Ming was not afraid. Of course, he was not afraid. He continued to step forward, causing the void to tremble violently. The young man in the blood-red robe was furious. He shouted, "Kill that bastard!" Boom. An old man next to the young man in the blood-red robe stepped forward. His chi was as deep as the sea. It moved towards Lu Ming to suppress him. At the same time, an extremely sharp sword gleam burst forth, piercing through the void and piercing toward Lu Ming's glabella. That old man was a cultivator of the first godly emperor layer. That was why the young man in the blood-red robe was so confident. However, he was just an ordinary cultivator of the first godly emperor layer. Lu Ming did not take him seriously. Lu Ming activated his battle formula and punched the old man in the blood-red robe. His fist chi was as strong as a mountain. It destroyed everything in its path. As soon as the opponent's sword light touched Lu Ming's fist strength, it violently shook and then exploded with a bang. The old man's expression changed drastically. His hands trembled rapidly, and blood chi filled the air. An even more powerful sword light shot out and collided with Lu Ming's fist energy. With a boom, the old man's body trembled violently and he retreated rapidly. His body trembled, and a trickle of blood seeped out of the corner of his mouth. This is impossible? The blood-robed youth's eyes widened as he shouted in disbelief. Lu Ming actually injured a divine sovereign with one punch. A mere 7th-level divine lord, how was this possible? He found it hard to believe. But the truth was right in front of him, and he had no choice but to believe it. Kill! Lu Ming bellowed and punched with both fists. One fist energy after another pierced through the void toward the Blood Skull pirates. The fist energy shot out at an astonishing speed, and many of the Blood Skull pirates were reduced to ashes before they could even react. Lu Ming didn't hold back at all. When he had attacked, he had already planned to kill them all. After the fist energy filled the sky, only 3 people survived. 2 cultivators of the first godly emperor layer took the blood-robed youth and retreated hastily. However, the 2 cultivators of the first godly emperor layer had joined hands to block Lu Ming's attack, and they had both been injured. "Hurry up and run. He's a monster. Hurry up and run," shouted a big godly emperor layer cultivator. His voice was trembling and he looked terrified. However, as soon as he finished talking, an arrow streaked across the sky and shot towards him. That person didn't even have time to react before the arrow pierced through his forehead and destroyed his soul. It was Ling Yue, of course. She had killed a godly emperor with one arrow. "Let's go!" shouted the remaining godly emperor layer cultivator. He was terrified and quickly retreated with the blood-robed youth. However, Lu Ming waved his hand and 3 gravity pearls flew out. A terrifying pressure enveloped the sky. The blood-robed youth couldn't resist such a terrifying gravity. He was directly crushed by the gravity and died on the spot. The godly Emperor Layer Cultivator also vomited blood. He was severely injured. The combined force of 3 gravity orbs was simply too terrifying. You killed the young master. My Blood Skull pirate group will definitely take revenge. You just wait. Your end will be very miserable, the blood-robed elder shouted in despair. Swoosh. Lu Ming's figure was like a ghost. He appeared in front of the elder and punched him. The elder screamed and his body was torn apart. He died on the spot. The experts of the Blood Skull pirate group had been completely wiped out by Lu Ming and Ling Yue. Lu Ming stood in the sky and looked around. He found that the monsters from before had all been killed by Ling Yue. Lu Ming was shocked. Ling Yue was worthy of being ranked 16th on the top 100 quasi-emperors list. Her battle strength was terrifying. She was probably much stronger than 9 Silkworm Prince. If Lu Ming didn't rely on Qiu Qiu now, even if he used his full strength, he probably wouldn't be a match for Ling Yue. Let's go in, Ling Yue said. Lu Ming nodded silently. The two of them flew into the valley. This valley was very big, very wide, and also very deep. The blood fog was very dense. The two of them restrained their auras and focused on their surroundings. The blood chi here was so dense that the two of them were afraid that it would give birth to very powerful monsters. However, the two of them didn't see a single monster after walking for a while. This valley was very quiet. It was too quiet. Something's wrong. It's too quiet. There's not even a trace of wind, and there are no monsters. Lu Ming frowned. Indeed. Although the monsters attracted by the Blood Skull pirate group attacked us, they stopped at the entrance of the valley. They seemed to be very afraid and didn't dare to enter the valley. Ling Yue said, "It seems that this valley is not simple." Lu Ming said, "We're almost there. When we see the Blood God fruit tree, I'll end the battle quickly and move the seal away as soon as possible." Ling Yue said, her brows slightly furrowed. All top geniuses had extremely sharp spiritual senses, and their perception of danger was also very sharp. Ling Yue was the same as Lu Ming. She also had a bad feeling. However, they had already walked here and were about to arrive. There was no reason to retreat. The two of them continued forward. Suddenly, a strong medicinal fragrance came from ahead. "We're here. It's really the blood god fruit." Ling Yue's eyes lit up, revealing a look of pleasant surprise. Lu Ming also saw it. Not far ahead, there was a small tree about 1 meter tall. It was completely blood red and filled with blood chi. Between the branches of the small tree, there was a fist-sized fruit hanging there. The fruit seemed to be condensed from endless blood, emitting a dense bloody light. Within the bloody light, there seemed to be a figure sitting cross-legged. Strangely, there was no smell of blood. Instead, there was a medicinal fragrance. Chapter 3829. This was the blood god fruit tree and the blood god fruit. Let's begin. I'll seal it. You protect me. Ling Yue whispered to Lu Ming. Don't worry. Lu Ming nodded and the two of them walked towards the blood god fruit tree. But at that moment, rustle, rustle, rustle. Suddenly, a rustling sound came from the ground. Then, 2 eyes that were bigger than a water jar appeared. They were blood red. Following it, the figure of an enormous creature appeared. It was a huge snake with blood-red eyes. It stared at Lu Ming and Ling Yue. "Sai." The snake screamed and swam towards Lu Ming and Ling Yue. Its tongue was like a red sword, stabbing towards Ling Yue. Its tail was like a soft whip, lashing towards Lu Ming. Its aura was extremely violent and terrifying. Second layer of the Divine Emperor realm. As soon as the snake made its move, they could feel that it was a second-layer Divine Emperor realm existence. Shio. Ling Yue made her move. An emerald green arrow shot out and collided with the blood-red snake's tongue, blocking its attack. Lu Ming directly took out 3 gravity pearls. The powerful gravity enveloped the snake, slowing it down a little. Lu Ming punched the snake's tail twice in a row. Suddenly, he felt a terrifying power surging towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming retreated. What a strong power! Lu Ming was shocked. It wasn't like he had never fought against cultivators of the second godly emperor layer. In Gale Galaxy, he had fought against cultivators of the second godly emperor layer. Even without Qiu and the great godly wind technique, he could still fight against ordinary cultivators of the second godly emperor layer. However, he had been pushed back just now. This huge snake's battle strength was extremely terrifying. Its strength was astonishing, far stronger than an ordinary second-layer divine emperor realm existence. This huge snake should be the monster guarding the blood god fruit tree. Its strength is astonishing. It needs the two of us to work together. Ling Yue said. Let's attack together. Lu Ming said as he charged towards the snake. A powerful gravitational force enveloped the serpent, causing its speed to decrease. At the same time, Lu Ming used the Great Divine Wind technique. His body was wrapped in a gale, and his speed increased explosively. In an instant, he approached the serpent. His palm was like a knife, and it slashed towards the serpent's neck. Lu Ming had already used the Great Divine Wind technique, and his palms were wrapped in a terrifying cutting power. However, when Lu Ming's palm cut across the snake's neck, he encountered a huge resistance. His palm cut across the snake's skin, causing a trace of blood to seep out. However, he didn't seriously injure the snake. At the same time that Lu Ming made his move, Ling Yue also made her move. Elven Royal Bow. Ling Yue shouted. Her body glowed, and a huge battle bow appeared. This bow was larger than any of the bows that Ling Yue had used before. This was her origin secret technique. The bowstring vibrated, and a 100-meter-long arrow shot out, piercing towards the snake's head. The arrow that Ling Yue shot out was shockingly powerful. It actually broke through the snake's defense and pierced through its body. However, it only pierced through half a meter, and the rest was still blocked. Sealing arrow. Ling Yue shot out an arrow, followed by another arrow. However, the second arrow was different from the first. After the second arrow was shot out, it immediately dispersed into hundreds of arrows. On each arrow, dense runes appeared. Bang, bang, bang. Hundreds of arrows all landed on the snake's body. It was like an ordinary wooden arrow hitting a rock, producing the sound of a blunt object hitting a rock. Not a single arrow broke through the snake's defense. Furthermore, all of the arrows had exploded. However, the runes and symbols on them were like countless little insects crawling onto the snake's body. In an instant, the snake's body was covered by countless runes. See this? The snake hissed and struggled with all its might. However, its movements became slower and slower. Is this the sealing power that Ling Yue mentioned? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Ling Yue said that her physique was special and had a powerful sealing power. She could even seal the aura of the life spirit origin stone fragments. Combined with a secret treasure, it should be this kind of sealing power that could seal the blood god fruit's medicinal effects. It was indeed very mysterious. Under the dual effects of gravity and the seal, the snake's speed became very slow. Lu Ming and Ling Yue naturally wouldn't let go of this opportunity. Boom. Lu Ming suddenly made his move. His palm was like a rapidly spinning sharp sword, piercing towards one of the snake's eyes. Eyes were the snake's weakness. At the same time, Ling Yue's arrow also shot towards the snake's other eye. As expected, both of their attacks hit their targets. The snake's eyes exploded and blood splattered everywhere. See this? The snake twisted its body crazily, lashing out crazily, but it did not hit Lu Ming and Ling Yue. Shua, shua. Lu Ming and Ling Yue's figures flashed as they continued to attack. One attack after another, they continuously attacked the snake's eye sockets. A terrifying destructive force rushed into the snake's eye sockets and broke through its body, completely destroying its brain. The snake struggled for a while before it slowly stopped moving. In the end, it collapsed to the ground without any signs of life. Whoosh whoosh. Lu Ming and Ling Yue heaved a sigh of relief. This huge snake was not easy to deal with. Its strength was shocking, and its defense was even stronger. Fortunately, the two of them had worked together to take down this huge snake. If it had been alone, it would not have been so easy. Of course, Lu Ming had Qiu. If he let Qiu take action, he would be able to easily kill this big snake. However, Lu Ming did not want to expose Qiu Qiu's strength so easily. Furthermore, Lu Ming did not want to let Qiu Qiu take action unless it was necessary. In the Gale Star River, Qiu Qiu had swallowed an entire star worth of metal ore. The energy was simply too strong. Although Qiu Qiu had evolved to the second level of the Divine Emperor realm, that star had not been completely refined. During this period of time, Qiu Qiu had been quietly refining. If he were to take action, it would disturb him. Lu Ming walked over and kicked the snake's corpse to the side. Then he looked around and protected Ling Yue. Ling Yue did not delay at all. She arrived in front of the blood god fruit tree and took out a jade bottle. This jade bottle was a secret treasure that Ling Yue had spent a lot of effort to create. Combined with her sealing power, it could ensure that the blood god fruit's medicinal effects would not be lost. Without her sealing power, this secret technique alone would be useless. Ling Yue placed the jade bottle beside the blood god fruit tree, and then her body emitted a strange light. Lu Ming seemed to see countless tiny runes appear on the surface of Ling Yue's body. Then, they followed Ling Yue's palm and crawled towards the blood god fruit tree. Very quickly, the blood god fruit tree was covered in tiny runes. Shua shua, Ling Yue's hands continued to form seals, controlling even more runes to climb towards the blood god fruit tree. Especially the blood god fruit, it was given special attention. At this moment, something unexpected happened. Chapter 38:30. Just as Ling Yue was trying her best to seal the blood god fruit tree and transplant it, a sudden change occurred. In the depths of the canyon, a dense blood energy suddenly emerged. This blood energy condensed into blood pythons that swallowed Ling Yue. These blood pythons were not real pythons, nor were they monsters born from blood energy. They were only condensed from blood energy. Lu Ming's expression changed. At this moment, Ling Yue was at a critical moment and could not be disturbed. Otherwise, not to mention the fact that the blood god fruit tree could not be successfully sealed, if it caused a tremor, the energy of those runes could destroy the blood god fruit tree. Lu Ming's figure moved and appeared in front of the blood pythons. He used the Great Divine Wind technique and slapped out with both of his palms. Immediately, a violent wind rose in all directions and a terrifying gale rushed towards the blood pythons. A series of explosions rang out, and the blood pythons were all blocked. However, as the blood energy churned, more blood pythons condensed and pounced towards Lu Ming. There were even more of them. Lu Ming used the gravity orb to resist with all his might, but the blood energy was getting denser and denser. The number of blood pythons that were condensed also increased, and their power also increased. Lu Ming was gradually losing his strength. At this time, the blood god fruit tree was still not successfully sealed. Lu Ming could only grit his teeth and resist, pushing his battle prowess to the limit. As long as they could delay until Ling Yue successfully sealed it, they could immediately leave this place. In the blink of an eye, several minutes had passed. At this moment, the blood pythons and the blood energy suddenly shrank and gathered towards the depths of the valley. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared without a trace. Suddenly, a low roar came from the depths of the valley. Then, a terrifying suction force suddenly erupted and acted on Lu Ming's body. This is bad. Lu Ming's expression changed greatly because this suction force was too terrifying. Lu Ming was actually unable to stabilize his body and flew towards the depths of the valley. Qiu Qiu. Lu Ming's heart stirred as he sent a sound transmission to Qiu Qiu. At this time, he could only disturb Qiu Qiu. On his wrist, the ball quickly wriggled and turned into a silver spear. Lu Ming shouted loudly and thrust his spear towards the depths of the valley. A moonlight spear light broke into the depths of the valley, but it was like a stone sinking into the sea, not causing a single splash. Lu Ming was still flying towards the valley along with that powerful force. Qiu Qiu exploded with all his might, wanting to rush out, but it was useless. The suction force was too terrifying. Swish! Lu Ming could not stabilize his body at all. He flew directly into the depths of the valley. At this moment, Lu Ming saw that Ling Yue had successfully sealed the blood god fruit tree and placed it in the jade bottle. When Ling Yue saw that Lu Ming had been attracted into the valley, her face revealed a look of panic. She shouted and shot an arrow at the valley with all her might. However, it was still like a stone sinking into the sea, not causing the slightest ripple. This was the last time Lu Ming saw Ling Yue. The next moment, he flew into the depths of the valley, his line of sight blocked by the thick blood aura. After passing through the thick blood qi, he arrived at the end of the valley. However, at the end of the valley, there was a cave. The strong suction force came from this cave. Lu Ming couldn't help but fly into the cave. In the next moment, the suction force disappeared. Lu Ming discovered that he was already in a huge cave. Lu Ming immediately became cautious. That is, suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes widened, because in front of him he saw a huge python. This python actually had a pair of flesh spikes, but on its head, there was also a pair of dragon horns. It was very strange. Lu Ming had never seen such a python before. The python was extremely huge. Its body was curled up like a mountain. Its huge eyes stared at Lu Ming. What a powerful body, what a vigorous blood qi. A mere divine lord has such a powerful blood qi. It's really rare. If I refine you, it will definitely be a great supplement. The giant python opened its mouth, greed flashing in its eyes. Were you the one who sucked me in? Lu Ming stared at the python and asked. Other than me, who else could it be? Kid, become my nourishment. The giant python opened its bloody maw and spat out a gust of bloody qi. No, this was not blood qi. This was a kind of blood flame. The blood flame had an astonishingly high temperature. Before it even got close to Lu Ming felt a terrifying temperature spreading towards him. This temperature gave Lu Ming an extremely dangerous feeling. Lu Ming did not hesitate and retreated. You want to retreat in front of me? How naive. Suppress. The python said coldly. Then, a terrifying pressure acted on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming actually found it hard to move. This python was terrifyingly strong. It was unknown what realm it was at. Buzz. Qiu turned into a silver-white spear, bursting out with resplendent spear light, wanting to break through this pressure. What a strange metallic life form. Interesting. I'll study it later. The python looked at Qiu curiously. It tilted its head slightly and Qiu left Lu Ming's body. It flew away and crashed into a wall, unable to move. With Qiu's current cultivation level, it could kill ordinary cultivators of the 4th godly emperor layer. However, in front of this python, it could not fight back at all. Whoosh, whoosh, the blood flame enveloped Lu Ming. Lu Ming sensed a terrifying heat and a destructive strength penetrating into Lu Ming's body. It wanted to burn Lu Ming. How could Lu Ming take this lying down? All the cells in his body began to tremble. The taboo force was fully unleashed to resist the erosion of the blood flame. The python's eyes suddenly opened wide. It couldn't believe it, and then it was overjoyed. Forbidden strength. It's forbidden strength. Surprisingly, it's a forbidden body. Ha! I'm so lucky. That thread of forbidden strength is mine. The python actually recognized the taboo power, and its eyes burned with a burning flame and thick greed. The blood flames in its mouth became more intense, and they surged toward Lu Ming crazily. Even if you have forbidden strength, you can't fuse with it. Forbidden strength isn't something that just anyone can fuse with. Lu Ming gave a long howl. You're right. Forbidden strength isn't something that just anyone can fuse with. Even I can't do it, but so what? I will turn you into my puppet and let you continue growing. In the future, you will become a sharp weapon in my hands. Ha! Back then I was lucky enough to survive. Someday, I will definitely get my revenge. Ha! The python burst into laughter. It was extremely excited. Lu Ming's heart sank. That python was terrifyingly strong. He didn't know where it came from. According to legends, the blood shadow demonic land was created by the blood of an extremely strong cultivator. Was that python the one who had created the blood? Chapter 38-31. Qi, the blood flame enveloped Lu Ming, burning him continuously. From the inside to the outside, every part of his body was enveloped by the blood flame. Lu Ming resisted with all his might with the taboo power. In this way, the potential stored in the depths of Lu Ming's cells was all stimulated at once. Lu Ming felt that there was powerful energy surging out of every cell in his body. The potential that he had stored up was completely depleted in an instant. Boom! Under the eruption of this potential, Lu Ming's aura skyrocketed all of a sudden. He broke through. Under the pressure of this terrifying blood flame, Lu Ming's potential exploded all at once. Lu Ming's cultivation also broke through from the 7th level Divine Lord Realm to the 8th level Divine Lord Realm, increasing his strength greatly. Unfortunately, this python was too strong. It was not something that could be dealt with by breaking through one level of cultivation. Even if Lu Ming broke through to the 8th level Divine Lord Realm, he could not move at all. He could only resist for a little longer. Broke through? Amazing, amazing. Is this the taboo body? Under danger, it stimulated his potential and broke through his cultivation. Good ha! The python laughed loudly. The greed in its eyes became even stronger. It could not wait to get Lu Ming in its hands. There's no other way. I can only rely on the purple copper coffin. Lu Ming thought. Unless it was a last resort, Lu Ming really did not want to touch the purple copper coffin. Because as his cultivation increased, he increasingly felt the evilness and danger of the purple copper coffin. This thing was a double-edged sword. If he was not careful, he would play himself to death. But now he had no choice but to use it. Even if he really played himself to death, he could not let this python get away with it. With a thought, the purple copper coffin appeared. This is... The python's eyes were staring at the purple copper coffin. With its cultivation, its spiritual sense was also abnormally sharp. It instinctively felt that the purple copper coffin was very scary. Therefore, the python directly attacked. Its tail exploded the space and whipped towards the purple copper coffin. Kacha! The sound of metal rubbing against each other could be heard as the lid of the purple copper coffin opened slightly. Lu Ming was shocked. He was not the one who had opened the purple copper coffin. The lid of the purple copper coffin had opened by itself. It was just a tiny gap, yet a terrifying aura was emitted from it. When Lu Ming was still very weak, facing this aura, he only felt that it was very terrifying, unstoppable, and difficult to resist. Now, Lu Ming was many times more powerful than before. However, in the face of this force, he still felt that it was unstoppable and unstoppable. It was incomparably terrifying. The python's pupils shrank rapidly, revealing a look of fear. Kacha! The sound of metal rubbing against each other continued. The lid of the purple copper coffin opened even more. Boom! An even more terrifying aura burst out, shaking the heavens and the earth. It was as if there was an incomparably terrifying creature within the copper coffin that was about to break out of the coffin. The blood flames on Lu Ming's body were swept away by this aura, disappearing without a trace. Lu Ming's body returned to normal in an instant. The python's pupils shrank in fear as it retreated rapidly. At the same time it roared, "What is in this coffin of yours? What the hell is it?" However, before the python could retreat far enough, something strange happened. Suddenly, an arm stretched out from the purple copper coffin. This arm was covered with green scales, looking ferocious and terrifying. At first, the arm was only the size of a normal person's arm, but after it stretched out, it rapidly expanded. Moreover, there was a chain wrapped around the arm, one end wrapped around the arm, and the other end extended into the purple copper coffin. Clang, clang, clang. The chains trembled and his arm grew. His fingertips were covered with sharp purple armor as he grabbed at the python. Before he even reached it, a terrifying energy was already pressing down on the python. The python roared and the entire rock cave shook. Its aura soared to the sky and a terrifying aura erupted, causing Lu Ming's heart to tremble violently. Terrifying, extremely terrifying. This python's cultivation was probably above the divine emperor realm. The python's potential was unleashed. Its tail was like a long spear, piercing towards the claw that was covered with scales as if it could pierce through everything. However, the tail that seemed to be able to pierce through everything did not pierce through the claw that was covered with scales. It only made a dong sound when it hit the claw, and then there was no further movement. Instead, the claw grabbed the python's tail, causing the python to be extremely frightened. It struggled with all its might, and a ray of divine light shot out from its mouth towards the claw that was covered with scales. This attack was extremely terrifying. If it was outside, it could destroy a large area of the starry sky and countless planets. However, when it landed on the claw that was covered with scales, it had no effect at all. Not even a single scale fell off. The claw that was covered with scales slightly shook the python's tail. Crack, crack. It was like shaking a whip. The python's entire body shook, and its bones made cracking sounds as it broke into dozens of pieces. The python's huge body became limp, unable to exert any strength. It was really like a soft whip. The claw that was covered with scales suddenly grew bigger, and it grabbed the python and then pulled it back into the copper coffin. No, 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 what kind of copper coffin is this? Why is there a living primitive divine spirit? The python roared in horror, and divine light kept flowing out of its body. It wanted to break free from the claw that was covered with scales, but it was useless. In a breath, the claw that was covered with scales retracted back into the copper coffin, and the python was naturally pulled in as well. With a clang, the lid of the copper coffin closed automatically, and the terrifying aura disappeared without a trace. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. His eyes were wide open, and he could not react for a long time. Because all of this happened too suddenly, and it was too unbelievable. After a while, Lu Ming slowly calmed down, but his heart was in turmoil. Was the python's last roar real? A living primitive divine spirit? Did the claw that was covered with scales just now belong to the primitive divine spirit? Is there really a primitive divine spirit buried in the copper coffin? But why is there a chain wrapped around that arm? It seems like it's being chained. Lu Ming's thoughts drifted and his imagination ran wild. There were too many questions that he could not figure out. If it was a living primitive divine spirit, why was it hiding in a copper coffin? Furthermore, why were they chained up? Why did it take down the python just now? Why didn't it attack him? There were many questions that Lu Ming could not figure out. However, he could not open the purple copper coffin to ask about it. The existence inside was too terrifying. He was already very lucky that it did not attack him. If it was unhappy and gave him a slap, wouldn't he be wronged? Chapter 38-32. After thinking about the purple copper coffin for a while, he still had no clue. Lu Ming shook his head and threw this question out of his mind. Since he couldn't figure it out, he couldn't be bothered to think about it. Let's talk about it after my cultivation has increased. At the very least, the danger just now has been resolved, right? Furthermore, Lu Ming's cultivation had broken through in one go. Lu Ming felt his body and felt that it was filled with powerful energy. It was as if his entire body had endless power, and every move he made could shatter the void. This time, it was truly a blessing in disguise. His cultivation had stepped into the 8th level of the Divine Lord realm, and Lu Ming's battle prowess had increased by a large amount. Previously, when he was facing Ling Yue alone, he was still a little uncertain in his heart. Now, he was much more confident. However, just now, the potential stored in my cells was used up all of a sudden. I need to continue replenishing it. Thinking of this, Lu Ming was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he took out a bone pearl and began to absorb it. In any case, this kind of bone pearl's energy was very pure, and the speed at which it was absorbed and refined was very fast. In 2 days, Lu Ming had refined 2 bone pearls. However, as his cultivation increased, the amount of potential that could be stored in his cells increased. The 2 bone pearls only stored 50% of his potential. 50% of his potential was enough for the time being. Lu Ming did not continue refining and ended his cultivation. He walked around the cave, but unfortunately he did not find anything, so Lu Ming left. When Lu Ming returned to the location of the blood god fruit, he did not find any traces of Ling Yue. Could it be that Ling Yue went to deal with Xue Ming alone? Lu Ming revealed a pondering expression. He did not suspect that it was Ling Yue's scheme that he was swallowed by the python earlier. Ling Yue most likely did not know about it, because using that python to kill Lu Ming would not benefit Ling Yue in the slightest. Lu Ming had 2 pieces of Life Spirit Origin stone fragments on him. Without Lu Ming's Life Spirit Origin stone fragments, how was Ling Yue going to find the treasures of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court? Lu Ming reckoned that Ling Yue probably didn't know either. Lu Ming walked out of the valley. What surprised Lu Ming was that as soon as Lu Ming left the valley, he saw a figure. It was Ling Yue. "Myun, you're fine." Seeing Lu Ming, Ling Yue revealed a happy expression and hurriedly flew over. "What? Why are you so concerned about me? Don't tell me you've fallen for me?" Lu Ming joked. After saying that, Lu Ming wanted to slap his own mouth. His mouth couldn't help but spout nonsense. "What are you talking about? I'm just worried about the fragments of the natal spirit stone. Don't overthink it." Ling Yue rolled her eyes at Lu Ming and snorted coldly. "That's great." Lu Ming hurriedly said. "What do you mean by this?" Ling Yue glared. "Nothing. By the way, how did you get the information about the blood god fruit tree?" Lu Ming hurriedly changed the topic. "Naturally, I sent someone to inquire about it." Ling Yue said. "Looks like someone is trying to scam you," Lu Ming said. "Muyun, what happened in the depths of your valley?" Ling Yue asked. "Inside, there is a terrifying existence." Lu Ming told her about the python in the depths of the valley. Of course, he skipped over the matter of the purple copper coffin. He only said that he escaped by luck. Ling Yue naturally didn't believe that it was because of luck, but she knew that this was Lu Ming's secret, so he didn't ask any further. Ling Yue's face darkened. Indeed, someone was trying to scam her. How could the person who knew about the blood god fruit tree not know that there was a terrifying existence in the depths of the valley? Since he knew, why didn't he tell her? If Lu Ming wasn't here this time and she was here alone, the consequences would be unimaginable. Looks like someone beside me has a change of heart. It looks like I have to go back and tidy things up." Ling Yue said coldly, a cold light flashing in her eyes. Lu Ming didn't say anything more. This was Ling Yue's private matter. As for how Ling Yue would reorganize it in the future, he couldn't be bothered to care. This time, their goal had been achieved. The blood god fruit tree had been obtained. The next step was to transplant it and lure Xueming over. Immediately, they left the blood shadow demonic land and headed towards the lost land of panicked gods. More than 10 days later, they arrived at the periphery of the lost land of panicked gods. The lost land of panicked gods was actually a galaxy. In the distant past, it was the core territory of a powerful force. However, this force was destroyed later on, but their territory was left behind. This galaxy had an extremely powerful array formation. Even after a long time had passed, its power was still astonishing, preventing existences above the Divine Emperor realm from entering. If an existence above the Divine Emperor realm entered, it would affect the entire formation and attack it. Those below the Divine Emperor realm wouldn't. This was the best place to deal with Xueming. The two of them flashed and entered the lost land of panicked gods. After a period of time, the two of them stopped on a planet. "Let's do it here. This place has already experienced a great battle, and the blood of experts has been spilled here. The blood energy is rich, and it's just right to transplant the blood god fruit tree." Ling Yue said. Lu Ming nodded. Naturally, he had no objections. Next, Ling Yue moved and removed the blood god fruit tree from the jade bottle. Then she removed the seal and planted it in a basin with rich blood energy. Then they took out a jade talisman and recorded the route to this place, forming a map of the stars. "Which one of us will reveal the news to Xueming?" Ling Yue said. "I'll go." Lu Ming said. Ling Yue nodded and handed the jade talisman to Lu Ming. The two of them divided the work. Lu Ming went to leak the news, while Ling Yue guarded this place. Lu Ming didn't stop. He left the lost land of panicked gods and headed towards the territory of the blood demon race. Blood Sky Star was a relatively famous planet in the territory of the blood demon race. It was rich in divine energy and was very prosperous. Most importantly, this planet was under the control of Xueming. Ling Yue had long since inquired about Xueming's background. The news of the blood god fruit naturally had to be leaked to Xueming's direct subordinates. This way, it could reach Xueming as quickly as possible. Lu Ming walked into the largest shop on Blood Sky Star. This shop was definitely opened by a direct descendant of Xueming. "Young master, may I ask what I can help you with?" A young woman in a blood-red robe walked over. Lu Ming scanned with his spiritual sense and could tell that this young woman was at the Divine Lord realm. He couldn't help but sigh. The blood demon race was indeed a large race. They were powerful. Even an ordinary shop assistant had a Divine Lord realm cultivation. I'm here to sell something, sell a piece of information. Lu Ming said. Sell a piece of information? The young woman was slightly stunned. There were many people who came to buy treasures or sell treasures, but this was the first time she had heard of someone who came to sell information. I'm sorry, young master. We don't buy information here, the young woman said. Don't be in a hurry to refuse. Shui Ming will definitely be very interested in this news of mine, Lu Ming said with a smile. Chapter 38-33. Lu Ming smiled and sent a telepathic message to the young salesgirl. It's about the blood god fruit. Do you want to buy it? The young salesgirl's body trembled and her eyes lit up. She was also a practitioner of the blood Tao, so she naturally knew how important the blood god fruit was to a practitioner of the blood Tao. However, the blood god fruit was too rare and could not be bought even if one had the money. At the same time, she also knew that her master, Shui Ming, cultivated the blood demon divine body and also desired the blood god fruit. If Shui Ming knew about the blood god fruit, he would buy it at all costs. If she knew about the blood god fruit, she would be heavily rewarded by Shui Ming and her status would soar in the future. Thinking of this, the young salesgirl was so excited that her body trembled. Young master, this is a big deal. Please wait for a moment. I'll ask the steward to discuss it with you. The young salesgirl said. Go ahead. Lu Ming smiled. The young salesgirl hurriedly left. Not long after, the young salesgirl came back with two people. One was a white-haired skinny old man and the other was a chubby middle-aged man. Young master, these two are our stewards, Steward Lu and Steward Li. The young salesgirl pointed at Lu Ming and introduced them. Young master, you said that you have news about the blood god fruit? Steward Lu, the white-haired skinny old man, sent a telepathic message to Lu Ming. The blood god fruit was too important and could not be spread. Otherwise it would cause a stir. However, his voice was also trembling slightly, revealing the excitement in his heart. That's right. Lu Ming nodded. Let's talk inside. Steward Lu gestured. After a while, Lu Ming, Steward Lu, and Steward Li were in a guest room. Young master, how should I address you? Steward Li asked with a warm smile on his chubby face. My surname is Mu. Lu Ming said. Young Master Mu. Young Master Mu, is it true that you have news about the blood god fruit? Steward Li asked as he looked at Lu Ming expectantly. It's absolutely true. I swear it with the very essence of life. Lu Ming said. He immediately swore an oath with the origin of life, stating that the information about the blood god fruits was true. Manager Li and Manager Lu's eyes lit up even more. Since he dared to swear on his life source, it was most likely true. Young Master Mu, you said that you want to sell this piece of information. Why don't you name a price? Manager Li continued. I don't need treasures, nor do I need divine crystals. I need secret techniques. Lu Ming stated his purpose. This was the reason why he had leaked the information about the blood god fruit. Rather than letting the news leak out for nothing, it would be better to make the best use of it and maximize its value. You need a secret technique? Steward Li and Steward Lu were startled. It was rare to see someone selling secret techniques. What secret technique do you need? Steward Lu asked. Lu Ming took out a jade talisman and said, This jade talisman records the names of 550 secret techniques. I don't need any of these 550 secret techniques. Apart from these 550, any other secret technique will do. I need 150 of them. The 550 secret techniques in the Jade Talisman were all mastered by Lu Ming. If he wanted to trade for secret techniques, of course he would need those that he didn't have. 150 secret techniques. Steward Lu and Manager Li were shocked. They were very curious. Why would Lu Ming need so many secret techniques? However, this was Lu Ming's secret, so they were too embarrassed to ask. The two took the Jade Talisman and looked at it carefully. After looking at it for a while, the two of them revealed awkward expressions. Young Master Mu, to be honest, apart from these 550 secret techniques, it's not that easy to get the other 150. It will take a long time. Steward Lu was a little embarrassed. It wasn't difficult for them to take out 150 ordinary secret techniques. The difficult part was that many of them were the same as Lu Ming's. How long will it take? Lu Ming asked. 3 months. Steward Lu and Manager Li discussed for a while and gave an answer. Alright, I'll wait for 3 months. I'll be back in 3 months. Lu Ming said as he stood up and brought his fists together and left in big strides. After watching Lu Ming leave, Steward Lu and Manager Li exchanged glances and fell into deep thought. This guy has information about the blood god fruit. If young Master Xueming knows about it, he will be overjoyed and will all be rewarded. However, it's not easy to get 150 secret techniques. Do you think we should send someone to deal with this guy secretly and get the information about the blood god fruit? Steward Lu said as his small eyes flickered with coldness. That's not right. Manager Li said. His chubby face shone with a wise light. If this guy dares to come alone, he must have some confidence. He most likely has a backup plan. Even if we make a move, we might not be able to get the information about the blood god fruit. In addition, this guy most likely has someone to help him. If we kill him, his companions will definitely guess that we did it. Once the news is leaked, it will greatly affect our reputation. Who will dare to do business with us in the future? Because 150 secret techniques are not worth the loss. Manager Li continued. Hearing this, Manager Li nodded silently and said, That makes sense. Then we'd better prepare 150 secret techniques as soon as possible. Lu Ming naturally didn't know about the conversation between Manager Li and Manager Lu. He had left the Blood Sky Star long ago and kept changing his position along the way. Then, he came to a remote planet. Lu Ming sent a message to Ling Yue and asked her to wait for a few months. Then, he began to cultivate in seclusion. Lu Ming didn't want to waste 3 months and began to cultivate the great art of fragmentation. If he could successfully cultivate the great art of fragmentation, his battle strength would undoubtedly rise to another level. The difficulty of cultivating the 3,000 ancient secret techniques was extremely high. Lu Ming had some experience with the Great Divine Wind technique, but it was still very difficult for him to cultivate it. For the next few days, Lu Ming still couldn't find any way to do it. Time passed day by day. 10 days, 20 days, 1 month. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. After spending 3 months, Lu Ming finally got a feel for it. Bang! Lu Ming's palm landed on a black iron stone the size of a water jar. The black iron stone didn't move at all. When Lu Ming moved his palm away, with a kacha sound, the black iron stone fragments turned into fist-sized small stones. They were very neat and were the same size. I'm still far from being able to enter the sect. Lu Ming sighed. Although he had grasped the basics of the great art of fragmentation, he was still far from being able to enter the sect. If he had entered the sect, with a single palm strike, the black iron stone would not have shattered into fist-sized stones, but into ashes. However, even if he had only grasped the basics, combined with Lu Ming's attack, he could still slightly increase his attack power. Chapter 38-34. In 3 months, Lu Ming had only grasped a little bit of it and was not very satisfied. If 9 Silkworm Prince knew about his thoughts, he would probably be angered to death. 9 Silkworm Prince thought that he was a genius, but it took him 10,000 years to cultivate the great art of shattering. Even if he only grasped a little bit of it, it took him 1,000 years. Compared to Lu Ming's 3 months, it was a far cry. At this time, Lu Ming finished his cultivation and returned to the Blood Sky Star. He met Steward Lu and Steward Li again. Young Master Mu, the 150 kinds of blood god fruit you want are here. What about your information about the blood god fruit? You can tell me now. A jade talisman appeared in Steward Li's hand. With a wave of his hand, the jade talisman flew to Lu Ming. Lu Ming reached out to take it and scanned it with his spiritual consciousness. Sure enough, there were 150 kinds of secret skills recorded in the jade talisman, which he had not cultivated before. Lu Ming was delighted. He took out the map of the blood god fruit tree and handed it to Steward Li. The map to the blood god fruit is in this jade talisman. Lu Ming handed the map to Steward Li. Steward Li and Steward Lu took the jade talisman and looked at it. In the panicked god ruins? Both of their expressions changed slightly. They had heard of the panicked god ruins. No one above the divine emperor realm could enter there, or they would be attacked by the formation there. Yes, it's in the panicked god ruins. I saw it by accident. But the blood god fruit is not very useful to me, and I can't pick it, so I recorded the specific location to maximize the profit. Lu Ming said. Huh, young Master Mu is really good at doing business. Steward Li smiled. They believed Lu Ming's words. Indeed, the blood god fruit was very useful to those who cultivated the blood Dao. However, to others, it wasn't very useful. Furthermore, once it was plucked, its medicinal effects would quickly dissipate. Instead, it was more valuable to record its location and sell it for information. That was why Steward Li said that Lu Ming was good at doing business. Well, the deal is done. I'll take my leave. Lu Ming cupped his fists and left the place. After leaving the Blood Sky Star, he changed several directions and headed towards the panicked God Remnant land. After Lu Ming left, Steward Li and Steward Lu started discussing. There's no time to lose. We have to inform Child Xue Ming about the blood divine fruit immediately. Old Lu, you stay here and take charge. I'll send the map to Child Xue Ming. Manager Li said as a crafty glint flashed across the depths of his eyes. Whoever delivered the message would definitely gain Xue Ming's favor and gain more benefits. This, Steward Lu pondered. Don't worry, this credit was earned by both of us. I won't take it all for myself. Old Lu, you can trust me, right? Manager Li purposely said with a straight face. Of course I trust you. All right, let's do it this way. I'll stay here while you deliver the map. Steward Lu said. All right, I'll set off right away. Manager Li was overjoyed. He quickly got up and left to deliver the news to Xue Mingtong. Hee. Watching Steward Li leave, Steward Lu let out two sneers. Even if I send the news to Xue Ming, how much reward can I get? I might as well sell this news. I believe many people will like it. Greed flashed in Steward Lu's eyes as he took out the Dream Jade and sent out a few messages. Lu Ming returned to the panicked God Remnant land, met up with Ling Yue, and waited. The two of them hid in the shadows of the panicked God Remnant land and quietly observed. A few days later, a group of figures suddenly sped over from afar and stopped outside the panicked God Remnant land. There were a total of 9 people. The leader was a young woman, and behind her were 8 people. There were middle-aged men and old men. These people were all quasi-emperors. It's not Xue Ming. Ling Yue whispered. Lu Ming also frowned. Instead of Xue Ming, other people came. However, judging from their clothes, they should be from the blood demon race. Could it be that these people came to the panicked God Remnant land to seek treasures? After all, the panicked God Remnant land was also left behind by a large force. It was normal for some treasures to be left behind. Usually, it would attract many people to take the risk to seek treasures. Suddenly, figures flew over from another direction. These figures were all enveloped in a bloody light. When the bloody light faded, figures appeared one after another. These people were clearly divided into several groups. The leaders were all young men and women. Their cultivations were very high, and the people they brought were all quasi-emperors. Several groups of people sized each other up. Their auras collided, and cold-killing intent spread out. Bloodguard, you are also here for the blood god fruit. The woman who first appeared stared at a young man with an unfriendly expression. It seems that you are also here for the blood god fruit. That old man clearly said that he would only sell the news to me. Damn it, how dare he lie to me? A young man shouted angrily. That old man also said that he would only sell it to me. The others also spoke, their expressions ugly. They knew that they had been deceived. The person who sold the news to them didn't sell it to them alone, but to many people. In the distance, Lu Ming and Ling Yue were dumbfounded. They didn't expect that the news of the blood god fruit would be leaked. It didn't attract Xue Ming, but another group of people. There's a traitor among Xue Ming's subordinates. Lu Ming and Ling Yue came to this conclusion and could only be speechless. It was true that plans couldn't keep up with changes. Their plan was flawless, but they didn't expect that a traitor would appear among Xue Ming's subordinates and leak the news of the blood god fruit. It must be those two stewards, Lu Ming thought to himself. Let's return to the blood god fruit tree first. Before Xue Ming appears, we must not let these people obtain the blood god fruit. Ling Yue secretly transmitted her voice to Lu Ming. All right, let's go back. Lu Ming nodded and quietly left with Ling Yue. They returned to the planet where the blood god fruit tree was planted and hid near it. Not long after the two of them hid, streaks of bloody light rushed over from afar. There were at least 100 of them. There were more people. Lu Ming and Ling Yue were speechless. How many people did Xue Ming's subordinates sell it to? Over 100 experts, divided into several groups, began to search this planet. This was only an ordinary planet. Compared to the Dragon Clan's mother planet, it was many times smaller. Moreover, those who cultivated the blood Dao were very sensitive to the blood god fruit. They quickly sensed the location of the blood god fruit. With a flash, over 100 people appeared in the area of the blood god fruit tree. Their gazes all fell on the blood god fruit tree and the blood god fruit on it. All of them revealed greedy looks. Some of them even started to breathe heavily. Chapter 38-35. It really is the blood god fruit. Ha! It really is the blood god fruit. Someone laughed ecstatically. Suddenly, there was a flash of crimson light. Someone attacked another group of people. However, that group of people was prepared and immediately counterattacked. The blood god fruit is mine. Go to hell. You're the one who will die. Kill. The scene was chaotic. Several groups of people were caught in a scuffle. Those young men were obviously the supreme talents of the blood demon tribe. They were very powerful and were locked in a fierce battle. Soon, more and more people were killed. In a few minutes, dozens of people had been killed. The remaining people fought even more fiercely. At this moment, another crimson light flew in from afar. The crimson light faded and revealed the faces of the people inside. The leader was a young man in a tight crimson robe. He held a crimson paper fan in his hand. This person appeared in the sky with a dozen or so old men. He looked down at the people fighting below with a mocking smile on his face. The people fighting below also saw him. It's Desolate Blood. He's here too. Many people exclaimed and their faces changed. Desolate Blood was an extremely terrifying supreme talent of the blood demon tribe. Although his cultivation was only at the quasi-emperor level, he could kill a divine emperor. He was somewhat famous among the quasi-emperor level supreme talents in the primitive universe. The people who were fighting stopped and stared at Desolation of Blood cautiously. The blood god fruit is mine. All of you get lost. Desolate Blood waved his hand casually as if he was shooing away a group of subordinates. Those who were fighting earlier had ugly looks on their faces. Desolate Blood, you want to take the blood god fruit for yourself. Your appetite is too big. A young woman said. That's right. We were here before you. Another young man spoke up. I said that I want the blood god fruit. You can get lost. If you don't, you can stay here forever. Desolate Blood said coldly with a ferocious look on his face. Desolate Blood, don't be too overbearing. There are so many of us. We may not be afraid of you. That's right. Let's join forces and defeat Desolate Blood first. It won't be too late to fight for the blood god fruit later. At the beginning, those people were slowly approaching to join forces against Desolate Blood. There were no eternal enemies, only eternal benefits. Previously, they had killed each other because of the blood god fruit. Now that they were facing a common enemy, they chose to work together. You overestimate yourselves. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. The malevolent expression on Desolation Blood's face intensified. His body emitted a dense blood-red glow as the paper fan in his hand emitted a clanging sound and slowly turned into a blood-red sword. With a flash of bloody light, Desolation of Blood attacked. He turned into a bloody shadow and attacked those people. Let's attack together. Some of the people from before roared in anger. Suddenly, dozens of quasi-emperors attacked together. Dozens of attacks were directed at Desolation of Blood. Dozens of people attacked together, and their power was extremely shocking. Everywhere they passed, the void was blasted into nothingness. However, Desolation of Blood's speed was extremely fast. He kept flashing and dodging the attacks as he quickly closed in on his opponent. When he got closer, the sword light suddenly exploded. Streaks of blood-red sword light shot out at an astonishing speed. Puff, puff, puff. In an instant, 12 quasi-emperors were slashed by the sword light. They didn't even have time to scream before they died. The terrifying thing was that those who were slashed by the blood-red light instantly shriveled up like mummies. Bush, 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 bush. After killing 12 quasi-emperors, Desolation of Blood's attacks didn't stop. The sword light continued to explode, and in the next moment, another 12 quasi-emperors were killed. The rest of the people were shocked. They didn't dare to stay any longer and quickly retreated. Desolation of Blood continued to attack. This time, he targeted those young Supreme Talents. There were a total of 5 young Supreme Talents. The 5 Supreme Talents roared and unleashed their full strength to fight Desolation of Blood. Clang, clang, boom, boom, boom. A series of explosions sounded. In the next moment, the 5 Supreme Talents retreated violently. Each of them had blood flowing out of their mouths. There was disbelief in everyone's eyes. The 5 of them were Supreme Talents. Otherwise, they wouldn't have reached the Quasi-Emperor realm at such a young age. However, the 5 of them still weren't a match for Desolation of Blood. You're the one who's clamoring the loudest. I'll send you on your way. Desolation of Blood's cold voice sounded. He then turned into a sword light and attacked a young man. The young man was shocked and frantically retreated. At the same time, he shouted, "Come and help me." However, the other 4 Supreme Talents weren't going to help him. They all retreated and escaped with their subordinates. Compared to the Blood God fruit, their lives were more important. Desolation of Blood, we're both from the Blood Demon tribe. You can't kill me, the young man screamed in despair. However, Desolation of Blood ignored him and continued to attack. The sky was filled with blood-red sword light. In the end, the young man couldn't avoid the sword light and was pierced between his eyebrows. His body quickly shriveled up and his eyes were filled with despair. In just a few breaths, the young man had become a dried corpse and his life force had been extinguished. On the other hand, Desolation of Blood's body flashed with a strange red light. His aura had become stronger. The Blood God fruit is mine. With the Blood God fruit, I'll be able to break through to the Divine Emperor realm. Desolation of Blood's eyes flashed with a fiery radiance. The Divine Emperor realm was a hurdle that wasn't easy to cross. The number of quasi-emperors in the Eldritch universe was shocking. Many of them were stuck at the quasi-emperor realm and couldn't break through. Even many Supreme Talents were stuck at the quasi-emperor realm for a long time. Some Supreme Talents couldn't break through for the rest of their lives. Once they broke through, their lifespan and combat strength would be greatly increased. Desolation of Blood had been stuck at the Quasi-Emperor realm for a long time. Only when he stepped into the Divine Emperor realm in the Eldritch universe could he be considered as one of the Supreme Talents. Only then would he be able to interact with the Supreme Talents of the Eldritch universe. Desolation of Blood revealed a greedy look and strode towards the Blood God fruit. "Looks like we'll have to take action," Lu Ming said. Shui Ming hadn't arrived yet and the Blood God fruit naturally couldn't fall into Desolation of Blood's hands. "Are you going to take action, or should I?" Ling Yue said. "Shui Ming hasn't arrived yet. I'll take action. It won't be too late for you to take action when Shui Ming arrives," Lu Ming said. After the two finished their discussion, Lu Ming was about to take action. However, his eyes suddenly looked in another direction. There was a blood-red light coming from that direction. In the blink of an eye, it had arrived. The blood-red light faded and revealed a beautiful woman. This woman was very enchanting. She wore a blood-red phoenix robe and looked graceful. "I can't give you the Blood God fruit." The beautiful woman smiled and her voice was very pleasant. Chapter 38-36. Desolate Blood sneered and looked at the lady. "Beauty, I won't kill you since you look pretty good. Get lost." "Shameless boasting. Do you think you're my opponent?" The young lady was very confident. After saying that, her body changed rapidly and turned into a blood-red phoenix. This was the lady's original body, a blood-red phoenix. She wasn't an expert of the Blood Demon clan. Lu Ming and Ling Yue were speechless. How could an expert outside of the Blood Demon clan be attracted to this place? Blood-red phoenix. Desolate Blood's face changed. The Phoenix clan was a terrifying clan in the primitive universe. It was said that countless years ago, it was a clan that was on par with the Divine Dragon clan. However, something happened later on, causing their strength to weaken. But now, they were still ranked 19th on the primitive 10,000 clan board. Now, are you going to get lost or should I? The blood-red phoenix said in a cold voice. So what if you're a blood-red phoenix? Do you think I'm afraid of you? Desolate Blood wasn't willing to leave just like that. The blood god fruit was too useful to him. So what if his opponent was a blood-red phoenix? He wasn't necessarily strong just because he came from a big clan. He was very confident in himself. Stubborn. The blood-red phoenix snorted and flapped its wings. A layer of flames jumped around its body. This layer of flames was blood-red like fresh blood. A terrifyingly high temperature filled the air. Boom. The blood-red phoenix flapped its wings and a terrifying aura burst out. The void exploded continuously. Then, blood-red flames rushed towards Desolation of Blood like huge waves. Desolate Blood didn't dare to be careless in the face of the blood-red phoenix's attack. He let out a long cry and his blood chi exploded. A huge blood-red sword light slashed towards the void. Wherever it passed, the void was split in half. Boom! The sword light and the blood-red flames collided and exploded. Two. Streaks of blood-red sword chi and blood-red flames burst out in all directions. At this moment, Desolate Blood's sword light suddenly changed direction and charged towards the blood-red phoenix. Its speed was shocking. However, the blood phoenix's speed was even more shocking. With a flap of its wings, it disappeared from where it was. In the next moment, it appeared in front of the Blood Desolation Divine Spear. Its wings were like divine blades, slashing towards the Blood Desolation. With a clang, the two of them collided again. This time, Desolation of Blood's body trembled and retreated. In the second collision, Desolation of Blood was at a disadvantage. The Blood Phoenix launched an intense attack. The two of them exchanged more than 10 blows. Desolation of Blood was no match for the Blood Phoenix. Bang! In the end, Desolation of Blood was hit by one of the Blood Phoenix's wings. His body almost exploded as he retreated. Remember this, let's go! Desolate Blood roared and flew into the distance. He didn't dare to stay any longer. He brought some of his subordinates with him and left in a flash. With Desolation's retreat, the Blood Phoenix was the only one left. Blood God Fruit. The Blood Phoenix looked at the Blood God Fruit. Without any hesitation, it flapped its wings and pounced toward the Blood God Fruit. It opened its mouth and was about to swallow it. However, at this moment, a young man suddenly appeared in front of her. This young man was naturally Lu Ming. The Blood God Fruit isn't something that you can take. Back off. Lu Ming said. You want to stop me? Let's see if you have the ability. The Blood Phoenix shouted coldly. With a flap of its wings, two blood-red light blades slashed toward Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming brandished his fist and threw a punch. The void exploded. With a destructive force, it bombarded the two blood-colored light blades. The blood-red light blades vibrated and exploded. The Blood Phoenix's eyes narrowed. She was very clear about how powerful her move earlier was. However, it was actually defeated by Lu Ming's punch. Moreover, Lu Ming was clearly only an 8th-level Divine Lord. I don't believe that an 8th-level Divine Lord can be strong. The Blood Phoenix was furious. It flapped its wings and slashed at Lu Ming like a storm. Lu Ming punched out and collided with the Blood Phoenix's wings. Bam bam! After a few explosions, the Blood Phoenix's figure retreated quickly. She felt an intense pain from her wings and her bones were about to shatter. Damn it! The Blood Phoenix was furious. A few feathers from her tail flew out. These were phoenix feathers. There were a total of 8 of them. They were like 8 sharp swords that stabbed toward Lu Ming. The power was terrifying. However, Lu Ming's current cultivation had reached the 8th level Divine Lord. His combat strength was shocking. A casual attack could erupt with terrifying power. Lu Ming only punched out. The terrifying fist force was like a stormy sea that swept everything. The attack formed by the 8 phoenix feathers was directly sent flying. With a swoosh, Lu Ming's figure landed on the blood phoenix's back. "Get down, get down." The blood phoenix roared and struggled crazily. She was actually being ridden on Lu Ming's back. This was a great humiliation. Flames erupted all over her body, wanting to burn Lu Ming to death. However, Lu Ming had a forbidden body. How could she burn him? She was no threat to Lu Ming at all. "Since you like to attack with feathers, I'll pluck all your feathers." Lu Ming sneered. He reached out and grabbed a handful of feathers from the blood phoenix's back and plucked them out. "You deserve to die," the blood phoenix screamed crazily. "Phoenix feathers are good stuff. It's worth collecting. Continue." Lu Ming couldn't be bothered with the blood phoenix. He put away the feathers that he had plucked out just now and plucked another handful. Stop it, stop it." The blood phoenix roared. Lu Ming continued. "Stop, I'll leave, okay? I don't want the blood god fruit anymore, okay?" The blood phoenix screamed and then flew away. Seeing that the blood phoenix had left, Lu Ming left its back. The blood phoenix flew into the distance and stopped. It glared at Lu Ming and said, "Brat, I will remember you." After saying that, it left in a flash. Lu Ming smiled faintly and ignored it. He returned to Ling Yue's side. "He's here. It should be Xue Ming." Ling Yue suddenly said and looked up at the sky. In the starry sky, a blood-red cloud was rolling towards them. Even though they were far away, they could still feel the terrifying aura. Xue Ming usually doesn't use his main body when he just appears. It's most likely his clone. "Wait a moment, I'll lure his clone away," Ling Yue said. The reason why Ling Yue was the one who made the move was because Ling Yue could seal the aura of her soul fragment, but Lu Ming couldn't. Once he went out, he would be sensed by the other party. Only when Xue Ming's main body came out would Lu Ming be able to make his move. The blood cloud in the starry sky was extremely fast. It shook the entire starry sky and caused it to explode. On this planet, the people who had just escaped, including Xue Huang, all sensed it. Their expressions changed drastically. "It's Xue Ming. Xue Ming is here too."